everybody! We're back with the long-awaited epilogue episode of Dungeons and Demigods. We're having
Dungeons and Demigods.
So, today we will be having a little bit of fun talking about what the characters and the players do in the massive gap between Quests 1 and Quest 2. However, before we can get to that, we will be having a decent amount of RP because we did drop off of the last episode with a little bit left to accomplish in the deserts of Joshua Tree National Park before returning to Camp Half-Blood. But before we can get into all that, I feel like I need to introduce you, even though you should know who they all are because you've been around this long, to our wonderful cast. So we're going to go ahead and go in Discord order, starting with the lovely Hannah.
Hi, I'm Hannah, Schooner Later on TikTok, YouTube, all of the things. I play Addie, a child of Aphrodite. I don't have a bit today.
That's fine. You don't need a bit. It's fine.
I have sword earrings made by my friend Lydia, if you'd like to see them. They're
Lydia
really
supremacy.
cute. So that's
It's the only kind of supremacy that's acceptable here is Lydia supremacy.
Yes, Lydia supremacy. This is a Lydia fan club, in case anyone was like confused.
This is not Dungeons and Demigods. This is just a Lydia Corinne fan club.
Well, we can be both. Also, next person up is Ben.
Hi, hello, I'm Ben, also known as Ben this D&D. I play Luke, who is the son of Zeus. Do I have a bit today? I do not. Much to everyone's disappointment and Aaron's relief.
Oh, did we just get a...
No. It was the music. We're good.
I also got very excited for a second.
The next person up is our wonderful tech director, Mr. Birdie the Bard.
Hey, I remembered right as we went live. I was like, it's really quiet in here. I forgot to put music bot on, so I've just fixed that. Hi, I'm Birdie the Bard, also known as Birdie the Bard on our social media, and I am a dungeon master over on This Show is a Mimic, and I play Cadmus Mortimer, Edgelord Supreme, son of Hades, brother to a murdered sister, and I will have my revenge in this life or the next.
And then dead people don't count, so next up is Abby.
Oh, shit.
You take that back and we go back. We put the thing back, flip it, and reverse
Run it back. Run it back.
All right. Val, would you like to introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, I'm Val. Bye, he's dead.
All right, Abby, you're up. Family friendly, Abby. Oh no, we're doing this again. All right.
Oh, no.
Hi, I'm Birdie the Bard. You can find
You've
me
already done
Birdie the
this.
Bard
My guitar's in a bag.
on media platforms.
I feel like, honestly, Abby, I feel like you've introduced yourself as Birdie more than you've introduced yourself as yourself.
This is true.
I think I'd rather you just
I
call
think
me
it
a
would
slur.
confuse people more.
Okay.
He's about to get his DMCA. All right.
That's enough to get us DMCA.
Cool. And Abby plays Vesta, daughter of Dionysus, because she decided not to introduce herself. And then last up for today, we have...
Is it me?
Yeah, it's you. It's you. If you haven't spoken yet, and I say last up, it generally means that it's you.
Do you think I don't know. Okay. Anyway, hi, I'm Kate. I don't know what's going on ever. I play Antigone Stewart, daughter of Nemesis. You can find me at Cloudy Kate or some form or another of that on the social medias. Sometimes there's periods, sometimes there's numbers. I don't know how to help you.
But there's always good times.
You know, it blows my mind that
Maybe.
we don't have this down yet, like this part of the show, considering there's proof that we've done this at least 20 times.
I mean,
why
I
don't we
haven't
just
done
play
More than.
Why don't we
because
just
we've had
play a
one-shots.
recording of us introducing ourselves at the beginning of every episode?
There you go, play the
instead of
clip,
getting us
Birdie.
To do it.
I came in late, so like that's not my fault.
That's valid. And unfortunately, we are not currently joined by the final member of our cast, Chaotic Bonnie, who is over on Witches of Woodside every Monday. They may or may not be joining us at some point tonight. We're still trying to keep track of that. But lastly, and definitely leastly, I am Aaron, the Dungeon Master, Obsidian Olive, pretty much everywhere. I am also a cast member over on the show's Mimic, and I enjoy doing Dungeons and Demigods, soon to be twice a week. Once over here on our Schooner Later, and once over on the show's Mimic, which is going to be fun and interesting. We'll talk more about that near the end of the show. Okay, so I guess we should probably recap where we left off last time. The very depressed place that we were at. So
This music is
boy.
very lighthearted for that.
it is. It's
I'll,
very good.
I'll
It's
switch
very-
it over.
It's because we're okay with Callie
I'm
being
getting
dead.
very
We're fine.
Shire
I've had 2 weeks
vibes
to
from
mourn.
this.
We're
I
okay.
am not okay with this still.
Guys, humor is how I cover up my sadness. All right. I didn't want to kill any of you. There we go. Much
Aw,
better.
we're
Much better.
cool. Let me
Much better.
play you a song on the world's smallest violin.
I'm gonna server mute the shit out of you in a second. Swear to God.
I deserve it.
All right. So, picking up where we left off last time, the members of our party had finally come to the conclusion of the last of their 2 quests that they had set upon to reclaim the shrine of the Oracle of Delphi. They did this in Joshua Tree National Park in California. There was the cavern was located in the center of desert, just emptiness. But once there, they encountered a longtime enemy, a Terry of the Iamidai. She went into battle with Sylvia Marshall, mother to Luke Marshall, our child of Zeus. The 2 of them fought, and as they fought, the rest of our demigods went into the cavern of the temple, where they encountered the temple itself and the entity known as Python, a massive serpent that had long since been killed by Apollo and risen again once from the underworld. There was a long and tedious fight that ultimately ended in Calliope Mortimer, twin to Cadmus and child of Hades, sacrificing her life to teleport into Python's stomach with an amount of divine food that has a bit of a fiery reaction with non-divine flesh, and it caused the snake python to explode, knocking Calliope unconscious and bringing her down several saving throws, and essentially cutting the snake in half. Calliope was unfortunately noticed to still be living by Python, who struck a final fatal blow. The rest of the party then came together, defeated Python, the final hit being our missing cast member Maya's divine arrow given to her by Apollo himself, exploding the head of the serpent. Our demigods then came together and mourned the loss of Calliope. Off the ground, Addie and V discovered a item that had been dropped from Python's death, a spoils of war that happens with these Grecian monsters. They discovered scale hide armor, though not to be investigated at the time. They held on to it. The rest of our party members held Calliope's body, and her twin Cadmus took her to the nearby entrance to the underworld that they had discovered on their way here, as both of them were children of the underworld. Cadmus went by himself with his sister's body into the underworld cavern, leaving the rest of them at the entrance. There, Calliope was claimed in a coffin of quartz. Her corpse in a coffin of quartz, and was reclaimed.
Why?
And was reclaimed by the Earth itself. Cadmus deciding not to rejoin the party, and went deep into the underworld.
It's been
The
fun,
rest-
but now I've got to go.
The rest of you stand outside the entrance to the underworld in this crevice between 2 large rocky hills, looking at this opening, maybe just a few feet in diameter. Previously, when Cadmus had entered, a veil of shadow had covered the entrance to this cavern, and it seemed uninviting, as if you weren't welcome. But after a few moments, maybe 5-10 minutes, the veil lifts, and Cadmus does not return. What are you doing?
Should we go in? It seemed like
I
we
don't-
weren't welcome before, but
I think that I don't think Cat's coming back to kill.
what?
Luke,
Why?
I
What?
think Cadmus needs to take this part of the journey by himself. I don't think follow it.
He's But where is he gone? How?
I mean, he's a child of Hades. Where do you think he went?
But surely only the dead can go there, right? We can't just leave him.
I mean,
You're not procking at the moment, Kate.
You're not
why is that
procking.
proc? That was
That's why I
weird.
had added
Yeah, I
you.
just turned up the sensitivity and it.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello.
There we
Yeah,
go.
we're hearing you.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Nope, you're not procking anymore. You're speaking too softly.
I forgot we're.
Oh, okay. If anyone would like to
No.
repeat?
Absolutely nothing.
I think that Luke
Cool.
had just said we can't just leave him there.
Yeah, Luke is kind of just being like, we can't just
You sure
leave
you have
him.
to go there unless you're dead?
Yeah,
Right.
that sort of deal. Can't hear you at all now. No sound, no think.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think she's aware that we
no.
can't hear her.
Your mic really went, it's been fun, but now...
It's been fun,
Yeah,
but now it's
it's-
time to go.
You can hear us?
Oh boy. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's never not been able to hear us. It's the mic has gone at the worst possible time.
Yeah. It wouldn't be an emotional scene without technical difficulties. I agree with chat.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Nope.
Alright,
Nope. You're
No.
speaking too softly.
we could hear you for a
We
second.
had
Hey,
to
I
for a
switched to my computer microphone for now.
There we go.
That worked.
That
That
worked.
works.
I honestly don't think you ever switched
No.
to the snowball
Mm-mm.
because your computer might. It sounds exactly the same as it did a few minutes ago. Anyway, the rest of you are standing there still talking. We're just going to continue on with the scene, and Annie will be able to interject when Annie's technology has allowed her to rejoin us.
Right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's from crying.
Hello.
There we go. Now we can hear you.
Here we go.
Nope.
no.
No.
I think the wire in it is dodgy because when you had it in your hand there, we
Hello.
could hear you, and then you put it down.
Guys, we went.
Alright,
we had
continue with the
45
scene.
minutes sound check. 45 minutes, longer than
Yep.
normal. I would describing
Let's
this to the audience.
just continue. Let's just go.
Please continue. What are you guys doing?
Something tells me you don't have to be dead if you're Cadmus.
I mean, hasn't he technically died before?
It's true.
No.
It could just be his return trip.
No. No, he can't go too.
He might come back. I mean, also,
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, we heard it for a
Well,
second.
but also-
It doesn't work.
but not anymore.
No,
Yeah.
anymore.
I think just computer mic will have to do tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do it later.
Snowball is not working.
Yep.
Um,
Anyway.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Hey.
I don't have any siblings, but if you've been with someone your whole life, like, I mean, that's your person, right?
But there's more. There's more than that, right? What?
Not to him.
He just lost his.
He just lost his twin, is what she said.
What?
Here, I'm repeating what you're saying in case anyone doesn't hear it. He's just lost his twin.
Yeah,
He says.
No, but I plugged. I on.
Nope. Not hearing a damn word you're saying. You're just.
I'm
you're
just gonna
muttering.
deal with my. Oh, what is?
Yeah,
on?
just turn your sensitivity of your computer mic way up
Max.
to like max.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
So weird.
Mm-hmm.
Intense RP.
Nope.
Nope,
Oh,
nothing.
Nope.
Crap.
No.
Just stick with your computer mic and turn the sensitivity all the way down.
That's what she's doing.
She's using her
This is-
computer mic.
This is weird.
Guys, we don't need to
Alright.
run tech for this. We'll figure it out. Just keep going.
Okay. If he really is gone, isn't he?
I think so.
I hope he comes
Um,
back at some point.
Addie would like to put a hand on Luke's shoulder. Just. This is what he wants to do. But, I guess one of the hardest parts is that we want him to come back with us, but
Yeah,
he has to do this.
I guess family really is important.
Speaking of family,
Wait, hold up. Wasn't your
where's my dad?
wasn't your dad's foot where? Luke just immediately snaps out of this like summer moment, being like, "Wait a minute,
Yeah.
hold on."
And Addie is like,
Your dad was not down there. I thought you. How? We definitely
thought-
did. We didn't miss something, do we? Do we need to go back down there?
oh my
That's a
god,
long
where's
walk
my
back.
dad?
How-
What's his name?
Well,
Oh my god.
my dad's name is.
I'm
Oh my
so
god,
sorry.
I forgot my
Hey.
dad.
Addie, what's your dad's name?
Isn't it?
I know it. I have it written down.
Is it?
What's your dad's name?
Is his name James?
Is his name James?
Oh my
Is
god.
Say it with
I-
confidence.
Wow,
just
I'm
need to-
so sorry. No, I this has never
His
happened
name
before.
is Dad.
Yeah, it's actually Daddert is his name.
Dad the first.
Oh my god. I'm sorry, I have it.
Now I can only think of I
John,
was a dad
John.
in the village doing
John.
all right.
It's John.
There you go.
Okay,
It was John. Correct.
John.
Oh god. John, you chose a vanilla name and you couldn't remember it.
Nope.
Wow.
That's why I was sitting here like, is it James? It's not.
All right.
Intense
John.
RP.
Wait.
His name's
So-
John.
John.
Where?
John.
Where is he?
John.
Perhaps, children.
He was
You hear
supposed to be
Sylvia finally step forward after letting you kind of conjecture for a bit. Perhaps if we were to go back to the temple, there might be some clues there.
Yeah.
Are you sure you don't want to check after your friend, though?
I
Cat.
do. Well, I mean, I do, but
Then perhaps should someone go look for him? He might still just be in the cave.
I'll go. I'll be okay.
Maybe we should go together.
I'm not
Yeah.
too comfortable with anyone going alone anywhere right now.
Yeah, same.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go. Who's coming?
I'll come.
We all go.
Yeah, I'm assuming the group as a whole will go.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello,
yes.
Antigone.
Yeah. Luke will lead the way, sword out to cast light. With the blade,
Yeah.
the lightning blade active.
So, the group of you all gathered together, stand at the entrance to this cavern, and there's a noise as Luke pulls his sword from his waist. The small hilt twists the bottom and allows it to spring forth its lightning blade, which begins to glow bright blue light all around you as blue and white lightning crackles. He steps through, the rest of you filing in after him into that long, narrow hallway where at times your armor catches and you have to budge your way through, eventually leading into the larger open cavern, the blue light illuminating everything as well as it can. Some of you pull out flashlights trying to add to the light, and you see that there is no one in the large cavern that you had slept in the night before. It is empty.
Can I make a perception check?
Sure. Actually, I would say
Nice.
survival here. Survival.
Survival? Okay. Sure. That is. Oh, I need to grab my character sheet real quick. That was a 16 though, plus whatever. my
Generally,
mod is
having your
at.
character sheet out is a great idea.
I know, but you said we might not even be making rolls this session, so.
No, I said the first hour would be normal RP.
All right. Yeah, 16. You said it was survival.
And you had
30, 20.
advantage because Addie was assisting you.
Okay, dirty 20. And that's a 9. So yeah, 30
Yeah.
20.
So, you look around. the cavern, trying to find any sign of your friends. And the first thing you notice is that we're dropping people like flies.
It's fine,
Okay.
don't worry about it.
Okay. So you look around the cavern and you see that there is the gouges in the sand from where you had all stayed the night before, the marks from your sleeping mats, from your blankets. There is the footsteps of all of you leaving, but you see that over top of all of that, the most recent set of footsteps is Cad's large shoes imprinted on the ground. And you see that he stops at one point, and there's a section of roiled earth, maybe 7 feet long, 3 feet wide. It's a rectangle where it looks like the ground itself has risen up and then back down.
Yeah. Disturbed earth.
And you see that the footsteps are deeper there, so he stood there for some time and then walked towards the back of the cavern where there's just now smooth wall. And on the ground off to the side, there is a bit of glinting metal. You recognize this to be the choker that Callie previously wore. No Lamia's eye in it.
I'll pick that up.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Did my mom follow us in, or is it just us?
Your mother did come in with you.
Okay. I will walk over to her and say, this is yours. You should probably have it back.
Thank you. And she just very quickly just holds on to it while you guys continue to look around for your friend.
Hold up, can we acknowledge the chat real quick?
Yeah,
Tabletop Santa
Yo!
with that 1,000 bits.
Heck yeah,
So
thank
we
you,
are
Tabletop
biddies.
Thank you.
Rick,
Thanks,
we love you,
Wrigley.
buddy.
We heart you.
The
We
next
heart you so
the next
much.
roll that gets made, I'm gonna let Tabletop Santa add that 1d4 inspiration to it.
What a legend.
Because that's what an absolute unit.
Legend
What
here.
an absolutely
Absolute
lovely human
legend.
being.
Absolutely lovely. Thank you so much, Tabletop Santa. But now
That's great.
the 6 of you, 4 of you, and Maya and Sylvia all stand in that cavern. It's dark and cold and not inviting, but also not actively hostile as it had been a few moments beforehand. No sign of either of the Mortimer twins.
I think probably, I don't know what everyone else is doing, but Luke probably make his way back to where the kind of where the ground has obviously been moved in a very clear shape. Kind of just stand by it and just take a moment to think on Callie and
Addie holds V's hand.
Yeah, the two of you, the two of your hands together are kind of one of the few warm things in this cold place. Birdie, we've lost a Kate again. If you could adjust the overlay, please. Oh, there she is.
She's back.
So, yes, Luke.
Yeah, probably is Maya still quite upset, probably just putting an arm around her, just
Maya has just kind of become sullen and her eyes almost sunken as she doesn't seem like she has any more tears left to cry.
I'm just keeping an arm around her, just make sure she's okay.
After a time, giving you each time to stand silently and mourn, Sylvia would suggest that that you return to the temple and look for Addie's father, as he had been seen beforehand. And Sylvia had also mentioned previously to you in conversation that
How about
that-
now?
hey, we heard that,
Can you know?
I just reset my voice and I don't know what I just did. Okay.
but it worked. We'll just leave it alone. We're not going to touch it. We're just going to leave it as it is. So Sylvia would usher you back, and previously in conversation she had mentioned seeing the camp where the people tending to the temple had been staying, and that's another place she suggests you can check.
I guess we'll head in that direction.
So it's
Yeah.
a relatively short 1.5-mile trek back to the temple. At this point in time, it's probably 2, 3 in the afternoon when you start arriving back. And as you return, Addie, you hear a noise. And for a second, you're not sure. And then you recognize it. And you can full tilt start sprinting if you'd like towards you heard the sound of your father calling out.
Yes, I sprint.
Okay. You make it there a little bit quicker than everyone else as you are running full tilt towards the cavern, and you see outside of the cave of the temple, there's your father, seated up against a rock, arms still tied behind his back, duct tape having been bitten off of his mouth as he's yelling out. And there is a piece of paper taped to his chest.
Oh, jeez. Okay,
Jeez.
well, I'll wait on the paper. That's very ominous. But I will help him with the duct tape on his mouth and try to untie him.
Snake.
Yeah. Are you okay?
Snake.
Yeah.
And you see he looks up at you, and he might have been calling for you previously, but looking at him, his eyes are not focusing on you. They're just kind of looking past you at the current time. And it's almost like the irises of his eyes are fractured. He looks broken. His skin is placid and pale, and he looks sickly almost. But he stands there, and you eventually get his arms untied. There's bruises and rawness around his wrists. He doesn't look like he was starved. He looks like he was fed. He doesn't look particularly skinny. But he doesn't also look like he was kept in the best of conditions.
If I hug him, does he hug back?
No, he stands there limply as you wrap your arms around his waist, and his weight just falls slightly forward. You feel your father's shoulder pressing down on yours, just almost completely vacant.
Dad, it's me.
It was
It's Daddy.
the largest scales. Smoke. He begins to huff, and it looks like he's becoming upset.
It's gone now. It's not. We took care of it. You're safe now. I'm here.
My dear, you hear Sylvia behind you. She's kind of approached at this point and put a hand on your shoulder and a hand on his shoulder. Mortal minds weren't meant to see the things he's seen. It might be a while before he fully comes back to himself.
Can we do something in the meantime? I mean...
Rest and time should fix his mind. Perhaps you can even speak to your camp counselor about removing some of this madness. For now, we should find him somewhere nice to sit until I can retrieve a vehicle to bring us back.
Okay.
Okay. She's going to look at the rest of you. If the rest of you would like to investigate the cave, I'm going to be on my way to the encampment. It should be a few miles north of here. I will return the vehicle.
Couple of things. Is there any way, V, your staff, it can, when we dealt with our madness in the maze, do you think that would that work on him? Or?
I don't necessarily think I have much juice left in this thing. I look at it.
Have you expended all charges?
Yes, I have.
Then at this point, each of the glowing ruby grapes along the long scepter that you hold would be dim and currently not full of magic. Your instinctive and intrinsic connection to this scepter would allow you to know its power will not be returning until the next dawn. So you are currently unable to use the magical properties of the Thyrsus of Dionysus.
Sorry.
Okay. She said it'll just take a little bit, but he'll be fine. It'll be normal again.
I can do it tomorrow. It's done for today.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Adeline, he'll be okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then with that, Sylvia helps you find a shaded area to sit your father up against a rock. And once he's handed a bottle of water, he seems to be more than content to just sit and stare outwards. If the rest of you would like to take your time to look around the cavern.
Yeah, I would, but I'm grabbing my dice. Hold on.
I was gonna ask my mom something before she
Okay.
went. Just
If you want to
when we
ask
had
her
a
real
minute.
quick.
Mm-hmm. Are you all right? You're pretty banged up, and I know you can't use the stuff we can use to heal, but
I'm fine. The thing that has hurt the most is my pride.
you
So-
said,
She's still out there.
"Oh, I taken her to
Yeah.
one side to
Oh,
talk to her."
sorry.
Yeah, no, it's
Sorry.
okay. So you killed her? You
No, I
said
mentioned to you previously that she had left.
What happened? You told Cad we'd talk about it later, and now he's gone. But
Well, I
still
was
tell me.
soundly defeated by someone a fraction of my age.
What?
She's young.
Okay, you know what?
Used to
That's
people being powerful anymore. I forget how old I'm getting.
You're not that old. Jeez. Fine. You're
Oh,
not.
and there is our 7th player.
Oh my god.
Yes,
It's
Chaos
funny.
Bonnie. He's a bitchy sorority sorcerer over on Witches of Woodside every Monday. There is Bonnie.
Hey, Bunny. What's up?
Sorry.
I did your
It's
intro for you.
okay.
You only gave me a minor heart attack for about 45 minutes straight. And then we lost Abby as soon as you joined. Today is the best day. I'm having a great
Hey, I got my audio figured out. So as soon as I got my audio figured out, my video started doing that laggy thing again.
Oh my god. Love it.
I
So
literally woke up 2 minutes ago. I'm like, man, it's really bright in my room for how early it is. And then I checked the time.
Oh,
and also the multiple missed phone calls. Yeah.
I didn't have any missed phone calls.
What?
Oh no.
I called you 3 times. V called you at least twice.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh,
Otherwise, I would have
no.
woken up because my phone isn't on silent.
Anyway.
Anyway,
Anyway.
anywho,
we were just getting. So yeah, Sylvia was speaking to Luke.
She was making one too many jokes about her age, and Luke's just like, what?
Not jokes. She old as fuck.
She old.
He doesn't know that.
Old. Oh my
She
god.
hasn't
yeah, we
told
don't know
him.
when.
Your mother is a great gilf, is all I'm saying.
What the fuck? What the fuck, Aaron?
Ew.
You say things just for the reactions to your
Someone
players.
click
T-shirt.
that, please.
T-shirt.
Someone
Dude.
click that.
Can we server mute Aaron right now?
Okay, yeah.
Luke's mum has
Oh.
got it going on.
Absolutely not, Cad. I will find you wherever you are in the underworld and make sure you stay there. Don't go
Bertie, not
there.
Luke.
Don't
Not
Annie's
Cat.
gonna leave Luke with his mom.
Okay.
Oh boy. All right. So she. Why, if you? So no one won.
No, she won. She just chose not to kill me.
Right.
I was soundly at her mercy at the end of that fight. And then I think that's when you killed the serpent. She made a comment about not having a job anymore and walked off, thanking me for a good fight.
Shit.
It happens.
I'm just glad you're okay.
Hmm.
I don't know what I would have done if you. Just gonna give her a big hug.
She'll hug you back, and she pats you on the head. And as you break the hug, you see she's just looking around, scanning the horizon, keeping her eye out for if that fucking sociopath child comes back to finish the job.
Yep.
And after that, she heads out towards the encampment because she needs to get on her way soon. Otherwise, it's going to be after dark by the time you guys leave.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
All right.
So, you all, I'm assuming, enter the cavern at this point. Each of you, after having set up Addie's father, John, not James, outside of the cavern.
He's got a double barrel name. It's John James.
Not James. John Jameson.
John James Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Jacob,
Jones.
Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
So,
His name is Jones.
each of you enter. What are you attempting to accomplish while you are in the Temple of the Oracle? Each of you, who are still present with us. Again, dead people don't count.
Oh. Wow. Fuck.
I
Both
need
of us.
humor to get.
Pretty soon I'm gonna be a dead person.
Jeez.
Addie is basically just kind of just following whatever V's doing. She's just like following behind because she's just thinking about her dad and everything that just happened. She's not really doing anything specific. She's just like following sheepishly behind V, whatever
Did
she
we-
wants to do.
Bring him down with us in an attempt to find something that might heal him?
No,
Or is
he's
he-
out.
No,
Okay.
Okay.
he was left outside the cavern. Okay. So, you all enter the Temple of the Oracle, and what are you looking for? Are you just trying to like what's going on with y'all?
Oh wait, I had notes on this. Annie is looking at the columns because she's the one who noticed like the pictures of the everything, the snakes earlier. So she's looking to see if those snakes are still on the temple, and if not, like what else is there?
Okay, you're doing that. Maya, what is your history bonus? What is your bonus to your history skill?
-1.
Good to know.
Oof.
All right. Are the rest of you looking for anything in particular? Or are you just sort of standing support and making sure everything's okay?
I think if Annie's like checking out the columns and like looking at what like all the meanings are and stuff, he'd probably just just for something to do would probably just ask and kind of intrigue and kind of listen to like anything that she could find out about it.
Okay. And then V, you have the helper of Addie. Are you looking for anything in particular?
I think she's about to be checking her connection.
Checking the connection. Okay. So, all right. So that just leaves us with them. Okay. And then, are you doing anything in particular, Maya?
Is this straight after the fight, or
You guys
is
have
this-
returned from the entrance to the underworld. You know that Cat is not returning at the current moment, and
Maya's not doing anything.
okay. So, Annie, may you please make me your choice of a history or a religion check with advantage from Luke assisting you.
That was an 8 and an 18 plus.
Nice.
I'll do religion because she's better at that, and that is where's so 22.
Okay. Go ahead and Addie, can you roll me a d4? A 1? Okay. That's interesting. All right. So, Annie, you, with the assistance of the others who are just kind of scanning over the temple, are investigating the columns and similar walls. And you guys spend probably a good 45 minutes just looking around the temple. And you realize that most of the inscriptions of the temple are Greek symbols. Easily things that should be readable, but most of it is just garbled nonsense. It's symbols that are out of order, that don't make words, that don't lead to any particular meaning. And then eventually, as you get closer to being inside of the temple, you begin to check the walls and realize that these inscriptions are also all the intricate carvings on this temple in between each of the serpent likenesses that have been carved into the walls. They are Greek symbols. And you read one or two nonsensical sentences, their meaning lost on you for a while. It seems cryptic phrases that you don't understand. And then you read one of them, and you have to reread it because you remember that there was this line sticks in your head. And it's something you've heard before, though it wasn't a public announcement. This wasn't one of your friends who got it. And you read the sentence, "You shall find what was stolen and see it safely returned."
Percy Jackson. You can't escape that guy. Anyway.
Yeah. And eventually it clicks in your brain. This is a prophecy. And you find the rest of that prophecy, recognizing it as one that came up easily 5 years ago at camp. And then you begin to read sections of the wall that is readable, and you realize that every block of text on the wall is a different prophecy. This
Correction, you said only one of the walls is readable.
No, I said only certain sections of the walls is readable.
Got it.
It seems that there are large portions that are just gobbled messes that are just unable to be read.
Mm-hmm.
Does she read that one aloud?
I don't know. That's up there.
Annie would have. Okay, so having found that, she's been like,
just like there, kind of showing interest.
That was Percy's. Jackson, about 5 years ago, right after he showed up to camp. Mine's probably on here somewhere. Look around for mine.
As I say that, it takes about 10 minutes of looking, and then you eventually see up in one of the outer columns, there's a section you can read that says, "To the west, wings of vengeance shall prevail. Right the balance, chasing serpent's tail. Future, present, past unknown. Quest abound, she walks alone."
That was mine. The two we just did are probably here somewhere too.
So you got... I mean, hey, you completed that.
Now I think I have.
I mean,
now
hey.
I have.
You've completed more quests than all of us right now. I mean, you're coming back from 3 quests.
That's
whether you were officially on them or not.
That's weird to think about.
We couldn't have done it without you.
Be interested to get Rachel here. She'd probably be able to make sense of it.
Oh boy,
we should head back with the others.
She would have a field day down here. Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Maya. You hear people begin to talk about the temple, and you've just been standing off to the side, not having re-entered the temple thus far, staring at the ground, still shocked at the death of your friend. There no longer being tears left to cry in your eyes. You feel dry and empty and deflated. But as someone starts speaking of prophecies, you look up and you see Annie and Luke are having this conversation. You feel a warm pull in your gut, and you remember this magic that you are still connected to this temple. And you've not entered the temple since arriving. But you remember that you forged some connection here. Are you doing anything with that?
I feel a pull.
Yeah, just a pull in your gut.
She's going to follow it.
Okay. That leads you up the stairs and past the pillar that Annie and Luke have begun to discuss just prophecies. You walk past V and Addie, who are still holding each other's hand, comforting each other in this cold cavern, past a scorch mark on the ground, followed by another slight indentation where an explosion had been. Past blood and gore and stray hairs and broken vines, all the way back to that long, flat table at the back of the temple, in that cylindrical inlet at the back wall, where you had first placed your hands onto it and forged a connection with the temple, wresting control of it from the spirit that was Python. And as you reach the back, you feel a warmth in your hands. It's almost like that feeling of when you wrap your hands around a ceramic coffee cup, that warmth, where it should be too hot, but it's not, and it's comfortable.
I'm looking at the pillar or the wall.
At the table. So you are in the back of a cylindrical inlet, essentially. That's its own sort of little room, even though it's still open to the rest of the temple. And there is the long altar at the back, and there is the scrawling on the walls of Greek symbols. And you stand in front of the altar, and your hands are warm, and you feel the connection to the temple strongest here.
I'm gonna put my hands on the table.
Okay. You place your hands on the table once more. And again, you feel that power of the temple flow through you, calmer this time. And almost instinctively, as your hands touch the table, you feel the power of the temple reacting to the current holder. And the different figureheads on the walls of each of the serpents begin to glow with a golden color. The runic text of Greek letters beginning to each individually glow like their own little LED. And the temple reacts to you. The rest of you see this as the temple starts to fill with gold light. You have access to all of the abilities that I've given you previously with the temple, if you'd like to make use of that at all.
I would like to kill everyone.
Yeah, can't be two.
No. She's just gonna stand there for a moment. And then just remove her hands and walk back out.
So as you go to remove your hands, they don't respond to your touch for a moment. And instead, they slide forward. And your eyes reach up, almost like they were here at the edge where you just placed your hands upon the altar. And they, of their own accord, begin to slide forward on the stone and flatten themselves. And you feel this pull on your eyes, and you look up, and you see that of the golden light that has appeared from the different inscribings and etchings on the wall, there's one etching that you can see there is a slight coloration difference between the sections you can read and the sections you can't. The sections you can't read having more of a warm red glow, and the ones you can, this orange golden color. And you watch as one of the lower sections begins to slowly change color, its words becoming visible to you. Do you attempt to read it?
Yep.
Let's
Go
go.
ahead. Plus your wisdom.
Let's go for the a natural 20.
Okay. So
Nice.
you look up and you see this. And I will put this in the chat after I finish speaking it. Bonds and vows put to honor's test, blood and scales raised from rest, Olympus reforged, banners cast, prophecy's song to unearth the past. Bastions in ruin, war bells have rung, the rising of the serpents has begun. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in both the Discord and the Twitch chat.
What?
That was one of the ones that we literally had a puzzle together, except that last
Yep,
line wasn't
yep.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those of you, for the sake of everyone watching right now, Aaron has been sending us puzzles, or well, I say puzzles. He's been sending us Discord messages with just a single word for several weeks now, and we've been having to string them all together. It was that prophecy, minus the last line. Damn it.
Appreciate Aaron for spelling
Maya.
honor correctly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's go.
The worst part is Google kept trying to tell me that it was spelt wrong, and I was like, "No, that's the Queen's English right there. That's how you spell that."
Are we in
My-
the Queen's England right now? No, we're in California.
I don't want to speak American.
Maya's just gonna stare at it. She's not gonna say anything. She's just gonna walk out.
Okay. As you remove your hands from the altar, this time able to fully pull yourself away from it, the rest of you who'd been standing there had felt this warmth begin to layer over you from the light of the temple. As her hands are removed, the lights extinguish themselves, the warmth exiting the cavern. And you have this moment where you realize that this must have been what it felt like when the temple first was separated from the sun. This place is cold, and it is desolate, and it is dark. And Maya steps out of the temple.
Just she's not looking at anyone, not speaking, just walking out and just waiting outside. Back to the temple.
Is anyone else doing anything? I don't see anything from Addie, don't see anything from V. Annie and Luke, you two are good?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think probably if we're done reading stuff, probably just head out.
Okay. So you all take some...
A little thing. Being the nerd she is, Annie probably would have found like some prophecies of myths
some
and
long past
hero
prophecies.
past and read them and kind of geeked out a little bit, but trying not to very hard because one of their friends just died and that's a little awkward.
I think the
tone
geekiest
shift.
you probably would do is when you make it to the back of the temple and find the last great prophecy.
Oh.
That's probably the one that you just fought a war over in the maybe 6 months ago.
That would have been like her being freaked out, but yeah.
Yeah.
But you all take a few hours at the temple. Eventually, once the sun is beginning to set, you hear a rumbling in the distance, and you see that Sylvia has arrived with a large black SUV. No mention as to where she got it. However, there is a dent in the hood with a small amount of blood splatter. You can ask questions if you'd like.
Sylvie is my favorite person.
No questions.
Too bad you're not here to experience it.
Remember fucking every time we were like, how are we gonna get there? And me and Kat and Callie were like, let's steal a car. And then these fucking lame nerds were like, no, we can't do that.
I
There's
remember
a little
that.
something called the law.
We've been over this. I made
What-
the
what do you
demigod
want?
equivalent of a narc. We've been over this.
Eventually, you all load into the car, and she begins to drive you away from the temple, away from the entrance to the underworld, away from the desert. Eventually, you find your way off the dirt roads that span this national park, eventually finding yourself on a proper road. Begin to head west. And the drive easily takes 3 hours. But eventually, you... Oh, Addie, I forgot to mention before we do that. Did you ever look at that note?
Yes, but
Okay.
probably in the car.
Okay. While on the card ride, you pull the ripped piece of paper out of your pocket with a little bit of duct tape. And looks like it's written in black lipstick. It just says, "Thought you'd be looking for this."
It's
I hate her, but that's
on.
kind of an icon move. Okay.
The main people that didn't like her are currently not present. She's
Yeah.
not doing herself any favors.
I mean, she could have just let you keep looking for the father. She left it outside the cave.
It.
It's not a person right now. It's a broken shell of a man.
I'll have you know, James is a person, or is it John?
John is a person.
Fuck you, my dad is completely fine.
I'm headed straight for the floor.
So eventually though, you find yourselves away from the desert, back in lands of urbanization and highways, and find yourself where you had been maybe 3-4 days previously, in the driveway of Luke and Sylvia's home. And when you arrive, there is still a car with slit tires in the driveway.
Oh.
Nice.
However, upon getting home, there is no trace of monsters, no trace of Slate who had previously been there. However, you do find that things have been moved around the pool, and there is still the remnants, Luke, of the small lounging area that Slate had set up in your backyard. But Sylvia then pulls out linens, and you find spots to sleep on the couch or on the floor in the guest room.
Mm-hmm.
And you all
I like
sleep.
to imagine Annie was placed in the furthest possible spot on the floor, away from Luke's room.
Oh, no.
Sylvia was like,
Annie
"You're
is
going to sleep here."
in Sylvia's room. That's where the cot was put out.
Wow.
And you all sleep, and you benefit from a long rest. The next day, you wake up again to the smell of breakfast as Sylvia.
Oh.
So,
what was that you
We're
just
doing
yeeted
great
across your
tonight
room?
with the
That was
technical,
Alexa
with the
unit.
technical thing.
So
You're doing great tonight.
I've had a rough night. You wake up to the smell of breakfast. Sylvia once again cooking you a decent breakfast, letting you all get out of bed at your own pace. And that day, you take some time, you rest, you relax, you shower, you get clean clothing, and Sylvia makes you aware that she's purchased plane tickets for all of you to head back to New York.
Oh wow, that was.
And
Thank you.
Oh well, I guess it's safe now.
Yeah, you guys are flying with me. It'll be fine. That wouldn't smite me, probably.
that's the saddest comment I've ever seen in my life, Al.
Not anymore.
The five of you take. Oh, yep. I see a hand from V.
Yeah, as soon as we wake up, this is probably the only time in the history of ever V wakes up before Addie, and immediately grabs the Theursis and goes to Addie and shakes her awake.
Oh yeah. You wake up
To
while breakfast is being cooked.
bonk Daddy-o.
So, Addie, your father laid down on the couch, and you two, I'm assuming, were on the floor of the same room.
Addie will first she'll like chuckle at what V said, but then she'll nod and say, "Okay."
Okay. I'll be gentler than I was with Luke.
Thank you.
Anyway, bonk.
You see your father is still asleep, though his face is furrowed, and he every breath is shuddering, and you see his jaw clench every few seconds, and he pulls a blanket over and is back and forth, rocking himself as he sleeps. And this is where you bonk him?
Then I bonk him.
To put it in another way, take the divine weapon of the god Dionysus and lightly tap against...
I use my bonking stick and I hit my best friend's dad.
And lightly tap across James or John's head.
It's John. Thank you.
Spending
Are
one
you
charge
Yes.
to attempt
Sure.
to cure the madness in his mind. We're gonna roll a thing real quick. Okay. So, as you press the thyrsus upon his forehead, one of the red-purple gemstones carved in the form of a grape makes contact with his scalp, and you see the energy, this gold-red current of light, pool outward from it and rest itself upon his forehead, slowly absorbing into his skin. And his eyebrows relax. His breathing calms, and he seems to begin to sleep in earnest.
Did it work?
He doesn't look like my mom after a horror movie anymore, so I'm assuming yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Immediately wraps Addie in a giant hug.
Later, when he awakens, you hear, Addie?
Dad?
Oh my god.
Where are we? And you see his face is still not normal, but the fracturing that was there on his irises, that almost physical embodiment of his broken mind, is not fixed, but it seems to be more in line with itself than it was yesterday. And he has a dreamlike quality to his voice as he speaks.
We're safe now. We're heading back to New York.
But I don't live in New York. You live in New York.
Well, yeah, but I thought we would go together because, I mean...
We can go to New York. And then Costa Rica.
Costa Rica? Okay, that sounds... We haven't been there for a few years.
Is that bacon?
Yes. Would you like some?
I would like some bacon.
Okay. And she'll go get some bacon.
And for the rest of the morning, you guide your father around him. Every time he looks at something, it's almost like he's observing it for the first time again. But he seems to be regaining some semblance of normality. You see the little quirks from when you were growing up. You see the moment he grabs his bacon, instead of eating it, he snaps it in two and says, 2 pieces of bacon. And then he bites into one of them.
Your dad is amazing, and I love him.
But you lead him around, and you find yourself unable to just let go of him at any time. Your hand is always either on his wrist or on his shoulder, or you're leaned against him. It's nice to have him back.
Mm-hmm.
Maya, I saw a hand raised. You are still muted.
Yes. I would like to do this either after everyone has gone to sleep, or
Okay, if you want to do this the night
before
during,
everyone else, or
Yeah.
like she can wake up before everyone else.
that's fine. Yeah,
But,
especially because they're in the front room, and you're I'm sure would be on in Luke's bed, and Luke would be on the floor, is what I'd assume.
All right. Well,
Sure, yeah.
Maya's going. Yeah.
would assume.
Maya's
Yeah.
gonna sneak out into the backyard.
Okay, let me just real quick. I'm gonna roll a perception check for Luke real quick. Let me just.
Can I roll it?
You want what you rolled or what I roll?
I'll roll it.
Can I roll stealth?
I would say that your sword does not give you advantage because you're not currently wielding
I'm
the
not.
sword.
Yeah. I'm not.
Yeah,
holding
you
it.
can also
I
roll
wasn't gonna
stealth if
take that.
you'd like to.
That's
cool.
dirty 20.
Nice. All right. 14 plus 7. 21.
Oh, fuck.
Okay.
Maya, you good?
Yeah, as you hear it, the door opening.
I'm just getting some water.
Some what?
Okay. Faster on the right. Man, back is
By the
so
way,
immediate.
I rolled a
Doesn't even
6 for
question
you.
it. Huh?
I rolled 6 for you, just letting you know.
Damn
Yeah,
it!
yeah, I know. I wasn't trusting that shit. I was like, no, I'm rolling my own.
So, Maya's gonna go out to the backyard with her journal.
Yep.
And she's going to flick to a drawing that she drew that first morning that they left camp
Yep.
of 7 figures returning to camp.
Yep.
Oh, 6, sorry, because Annie wasn't with us when she drew it. So
Yep.
everyone returning to camp, and she's gonna rip it out of the journal. And she's gonna burn it.
Okay. As you take out one of the small lighters that you've had in your bag and just kind of light it in the backyard, it begins to burn, not the color of orange and red, but this light gold color to the flames. And as the smoke kind of blows back in your face, you smell it, and it doesn't make you cough. It smells more like the smell of an offering. It smells like flowers and burgers and every good thing. And it almost feels like you've just offered up something as you've burnt that piece of paper. And as the sun begins to rise, you feel it just caress your cheek a little bit.
And Maya's gonna continue going through. Actually, no, she's gonna sit down and draw the twins.
And there is no divine power, there is no influencing gut feeling. It is just the ache in your heart as you draw Cadmus and Callie as you met them and as you knew them and as they changed. You start with Callie's hair the way you had met her, but then quickly erase it because it looks wrong after the way you've known her on your journey. You look at Cadmus, eyes a little confused and gaunt, and then you erase them and draw the friend and leader that you'd known. It's hard, but you get a very decent drawing of them done by the time breakfast is ready.
And that is the last drawing Maya will draw.
Yep. And then you pack your book away, not to be used for a while. And then, if no one has anything else, we'll continue on to Camp Half-Full. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's everything.
So, Sylvia helps each of you through to the airport, getting you each you basically got one giant Uber. She didn't take her stolen SUV. But as you get to airport security, you realize that none of you have identification, and you just see Sylvia's hand wave once, like quoting.
I would have grabbed my stuff from my. I would have grabbed several things from my room, including
That's
one of my guitars.
Annie has her driver's license.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the majority of the group. Fight me. And Sylvia waves her hand once in a very familiar reference and movie, and you see airport security just lets you through. And you gather your boarding passes and a few hours of waiting. You get on a plane. It's about 5-6 hour flight. You make your way back to New York. From there, Addie, Sylvia asks to get in contact with your aunt, and you meet and drop off your father with your aunt. And your aunt alludes to making plans to perhaps move into somewhere a little bigger so that maybe your dad can come live with her for a little bit. And you're welcome to as well if you'd like. As your aunt does actually know what's going on here. And eventually Sylvia takes you all down that long highway, past a burnt-out gas station, down a long dirt road, eventually to a grassy hill, where you see a large pine tree with glittering wool in its lower branches, and a dragon. And Sylvia waits outside at the bottom of the hill and says that she'll wait there, and later, if Chiron will allow her access, she'll come. Each of you, when you return, see stares and whispers, but not in the suspicious or distrusting or particularly nasty ways that you'd seen previously, but more in the you've completed a quest, and that's something that doesn't happen often. And you see people begin to notice that. Yes, V.
2 quests. 3.
Can I make
including
a
Annie.
badassery check to see how cool I look when I'm walking in?
If any of you would like to make a badassery
I
check,
would
we can
like
make a
to say thank
badassery
you.
check.
Annie is a bawling mess. I'm not even gonna. Annie is
Is
just
this
full out sobbing.
performance?
I
Okay.
imagine she just like.
So it's an
sprints up
automatic
the hill.
failure from Annie. The other 4 of you, can you please make me performance checks?
And we just
Oh,
pull out
yeah.
sobbing.
Oh,
Maya
Annie
ain't
no.
doing
sobbing as she
shit.
runs.
Okay, that's an automatic
Mine's-
failure for Maya.
Maya's just walking behind everyone.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to look badass at all. I'm just walking up a
That's
hill, man.
22.
I'm just existing, being like,
So you have to describe this from the point of view of camp. It is late evening at this point. No, actually, no. It would be night at this point, so campers wouldn't actually be awake. Now that I think about it.
Well, maybe we caught the red eye flight where we flew in
Yeah.
overnight.
Oh, you know what? I'll
And
just
then-
say you guys stayed at Addie's aunt's house. It's fine. And then it's the
Okay.
morning. It's like coming up.
Okay.
So the sun has crested at this point, and walking over the hill are 2 absolute unit badasses, hand in hand, halberd and dagger out, armor gleaming as they've shifted to their armor properly for this. Walking over, it almost looks like smoke effects are coming off of them. They look absolutely ridiculously badass. And then directly behind them, you have a sobbing teenager, a child who looks like she's been through hell, and just a kind of winded
and then
dude.
just,
Yeah.
I'm just here. I exist. Hi. Don't look at me.
The 5 demigods, when 6 of
Just
them left,
comforting the other 2.
crest the hill of Camp Half-Blood. Eventually, you see these whispers and people noticing you walking to the big house, and Chiron is there on the porch and stands to meet you in his centaur form, white stallion fur gleaming in the sunlight of the morning. He sees Annie, someone he was not expecting to see again, and he reaches over and gives a hug to his student, leaning down, and he individually brings each of you in as you've come back from your quests.
Maya doesn't hug him.
He notices but does not press it. Where are Cadmus and Calliope?
No.
Hey, Chiron?
Calliope
Cadmus?
didn't make it.
Show us
Cadmus.
not to come back.
Yeah.
Maybe when he's ready, he'll come back. But
We shall host a shroud burning tonight, and tomorrow a celebration of your return.
right.
That makes this morning, mate, make a bit more sense.
What?
This morning there was a camper who's not been around for some time spotted. I believe one of you should check upon the Hades cabin.
Oh,
Yes, Annie, you would know the way.
I've met him before, so maybe.
He's not. He departed shortly after he was noticed, but
Got it.
Oh. What, who?
The half sibling of young Cadmus and Calliope, Nico
Oh.
D'Angelo, appeared this morning.
Right.
He comes and goes.
So I've heard.
Annie, as the rest of them stand there with Chiron, you sprint to the Hades cabin, and you notice the door is slightly ajar. And you see that the lights aren't on in the cabin. But as you push the door to the side, the torches that had been on the interior of the cabin, those green torches, to be on once again. And you see that one of the beds has been perfectly made, and on it is a folded black piece of cloth.
Annie will pick it up, and I'm assuming she would know what to do with the shroud. And
As you pick it up, it is
Yeah.
rough hewn. It is not professionally done. It feels like someone has taken great pains to do this very quickly. And it looks like it was several sets of hands. The sewing, not nimble, but inconsistent across the edges. As you see, this is a black cloth with this long line in the middle and a crossing line underneath, the top ending in this cup-shaped U and a circle in the interior of it. You recognize this to be the symbol of Hades. And you take the burial shroud back to the big house. The rest of you there? Is there anything you wish to tell Chiron in that time?
Fire isn't saying a word.
My mom came back with us. She's waiting outside camp. Needs permission to come
Sylvia.
in. Yeah.
I, Chiron, grant Sylvia Marshall day access to Camp Half-Blood. He just speaks outwards. And then after about 2-3 minutes, you see your mom come just sprinting over the hill easily, just... She starts jogging as she gets closer.
Thank you.
Thank you. It is no problem. Well, I feel as though there is much we should discuss.
Via's hand up.
Sorry, I see a hand up for V. Yep.
She's gonna look at him and say, "Where's my dad?"
He was called this morning for a meeting on Mount Olympus. He should be returning later tonight.
I guess.
I feel it's
Okay. Cool.
children. Did something odd happen on your journey? The winds have shifted in the last few days.
A lot happened.
Perhaps we should go inside to discuss this. And you see him walk over to the porch and lower the back half of his centaur body into his wheelchair and roll himself into the rec room of the big house.
Will there be nachos?
I was literally, Abby, I'm not even kidding. I was just about to ask that question.
We're popping up.
No, but I can send one of the satyrs to pick up some donuts if you'd like.
Ooh, donuts. Yes.
Okay, and a mug, please. Empty.
There are those in the rec room.
Okay.
Yes, Maya.
Maya is there any pens and paper in the house?
Oh, easily. You Chiron's desk has a ton of paper and pens on them. There's a little travel brochure near the front where there's a couple of pens.
Maya is going to grab a pen and paper write down the prophecy that
Okay.
she saw, slam it down onto the table in front of Chiron, and storm out of the house.
You see him, the rest of you who are there, just as you watch, his mouth opens a little, but he closes it, understanding, and watches Maya go. I shall speak with her later. And you see
Been
him.
through a lot. Don't go too hard on her, please.
I have
That's
dealt with warriors returning from quests where they have lost family members and friends for far longer than you can imagine. I am aware of what I should do, but I thank you for the advice.
That's not. That's.
You see him like
she's
lean
looking
down
at the piece of paper.
Well, it's folded, so he was gonna
Okay.
pick it up. He's just like, he picks it up and looks at it. Interesting. We shall
What's she
discuss
drawn?
this. It's not a drawing, it is a prophecy that was spoken yesterday.
I'm sorry, what?
Wait.
I'm afraid the reason, Vesta, that your father was called this morning to a meeting on Mount Olympus was because another great prophecy has been spoken. And somehow, our friend, young Maya, is aware of it. And we can do nothing but prepare for it in the coming days. But
We
instead of
just go
focusing
back
on
and now we
that,
gotta go on another one?
No.
hopefully this prophecy does not pertain to you. And regardless, it often takes tens of decades for these to fulfill themselves. The last great prophecy spoken only 6 months ago. It's odd to have more than one of these at any given time.
Oh, so
Chiron.
great prophecy is different from break. Got it. Cool. That's better. All right.
Chiron, may I please have your forgiveness in advance? But what the fuck?
That, I feel, is an accurate and apt description of the feeling that most of us are having at the moment. As I had hoped that this generation of demigods had lived through one war and we would not be seeing another soon. Young Antigone remembers just a few months ago the Battle of New York, and before that, constant skirmishes. But this time we are prepared. Instead of discussing that, perhaps you simply make me aware of the events of your journey. We prepare for the shroud burning tonight, and we will discuss this more in coming days.
Right.
I assume that both of your
Just
prophecies
part of
were...
the Chiron fan club right now.
I hope that you know that this is not my will, and if it were up to me, none of you would ever be partaking on any quest that you did not specifically seek out. So, do you guys proceed to tell him about your journey, or do you withhold everything?
Yeah.
Annie.
Is there anything that you withhold from him information-wise?
You're
Annie
saying that makes me think
hesitates.
like we should.
No, I'm asking
Annie
because
hesitates,
I have feelings.
admitting. Yeah. Annie will hesitate when they get to the part about them escaping the ranch in Texas. But she'll just take a deep breath and tell the story as it happened.
Mm-hmm.
He leaves out all the illegal shit that...
I was just gonna say, I was literally...
Every time someone leaves that out, Luke's gonna just kind of narrow his eyes a little bit at V. Just not say anything. Not in a
Addie,
like not in a bad way. Just in like a, you know what you did.
when it gets to the fire snakes and other such kind of, Addie antics, Addie will try to not get too excited while telling that part of the story she'll like read the room a little
If
bit.
I remember correctly, you never disposed of the fire extinguisher. That's still like
no,
in
I
your
got
bag.
I got one
You
more
have the
charge, my
fire
guy.
extinguisher.
There's no way you
got
got
one
that on
more
a
charge.
plane.
Yeah.
You guys
Oh.
passed security entirely though.
Fair
like
enough.
you guys didn't even go to security.
Yeah, let's bring this pressurized container onto a plane. That'll be great.
Listen, I've got one more charge, so any fire snakes think about messing with me. But when she tells that, she'll like what I imagine is she'll like get excited and then see like, you know, Maya and Luke and Annie and be like, and I destroyed them with the fire extinguisher. And like try
And it was badass.
Yeah, and just try
really-
not to be too like. But
Oh, I
just
think the rest
like,
of us are amping you up.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh yeah,
Luke
we're
definitely
gassing you
is.
up. At least
Yeah.
me is like
Yeah.
gassing you up.
As soon as Luke sees that you're trying to be like modest about it, he's like, "Nope, that's not happening."
It was really cool. I still have it.
It was.
It is troubling to know of the actions of Iamus, though you should be commended for avoiding outright combat with him and his ilk. I will discuss this more with Mr. D when he returns.
What do we do now?
For now, you make decisions as to whether or not you will be returning home or staying here to train for the coming time. We don't know when this great prophecy will strike. We don't know. I have guesses as to things that may be coming, but I am, for once, out of my depth. We have seen many events in history repeat themselves. Last summer with the Titanomachy was just the first of many things I had thought yet to come, but this is new. This rising of serpents, this Ophiomachy, is not something we've ever seen.
What? Has he read us the prophecy?
I apologize. I had mentioned the prophecy's existence.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I would ask that
Yeah.
prophecy stay private, but this group is not one to keep secrets from. And he's going to pull out the piece of paper and read to you the prophecy that I have previously read to Maya.
Okay.
Hold on.
I'm gonna need a good night's rest before I process that.
But we beat the snake. Why are more
Well,
snakes?
They can regenerate.
More
Adeline.
snakes.
What?
Come on,
From what
man.
you were describing, the
Ah.
monster known as Python, he shall take some time to recover and regain consciousness.
There's always a bigger snake.
But the others... There are many great serpents across our history, and I can scarcely keep track of all of them. I have some suspicions, but I will need to speak more with others about this. And I'm sure that there will be quests to depart in the next coming months to check in on the prisons and locations of these serpents.
Does it have to be snakes? It could be
Yeah.
anything else.
Okay.
It did have to
Okay.
be
I have a.
Thank the gods it was
uh,
not giants.
I
That
honestly
That would just be
prefer
preposterous. Giants right after Titans? Pfft,
I would honestly prefer that right now.
the Giants just coming and doing exactly what the Titans tried to do like a year after it?
Does Annie say that?
No.
It's not like that's exactly what happened in actual
Happens
Greek
in the book.
mythology.
Not
Not,
like
not just in the
the-
book, in
the
actual
entire
Greek
book
mythology.
series.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Guy was pissed off they killed her other kids, so she sent more kids to kill her other kids.
Yeah.
Damn, a lot of child murder.
Unfortunately, Zeus was feeling horny. So,
Beginning of every story, basically.
Hang on. Okay, hang on. V has a genuine question for Chiron,
yes,
and it goes as such. Chiron.
and it goes like this.
Kyron,
Yes.
can he, Python, regenerate its entire physical being, or is it the kind of situation where if part of it's gone,
Well,
it's all gone?
monsters are this archetype of creature that do not have souls, but return to Tartarus once they have been dispersed and eventually will reform. And that is what heroes are for, because you will never be truly rid of monsters. However, great beings such as that often require years minimum to recover, especially after their essence is scattered in the ways such as a weapon imbued with Apollo's power would carry itself. I am worried about...
So what you're saying?
Hmm?
What you're saying is we can't eat the snake and stop it from coming back.
No.
I mean,
Wow.
we have
V.
a vest. We
Oh,
have
boy.
a vest of like snake
Oh
skin.
yeah, it's
Does he
really
need
ugly.
his skin to regenerate, or what if we just made
That
vests
is
instead of all of
a form of trophy that is often left behind by monsters.
Oh,
Oh.
he had.
Did we pick up
horrible
the choker?
taste.
Yes.
Yes, I
Sylvia
gave
currently
it.
has it.
Okay.
I gave it.
Okay.
Mom's got it.
Addie like leans over to V when she hears it's like a trophy from the monster and be like, he had horrible taste, just through and through.
Do you want to like help embroider this at some point? Like,
I think I could try to add some embellishments. We can fix it. We can do something about it.
okay, we'll fix it.
If anyone has, does anyone have any other direct questions for Kyron? No? Okay.
Not right now.
So then,
So,
he would retire for the afternoon. Each of you being given leave to go to your cabins to reintroduce
what
yourself.
kind of donuts were brought?
It was a dozen variety donuts, so it's just whatever you need.
Chocolate sprinkle.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh no. V picks the donut for Addie, and it's like the one that has like the most sprinkles. And gives it to
Okay.
her,
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Thank you.
along with a mug of caramel frappuccino. Cappuccino, sorry.
I love that we're RPing the donuts right as I'm about to go into Callie's funeral. This is exactly what she would
oh my
want.
god.
Exactly what she would want. This
We
is
also
Damn.
asked to roll a badassery check right before we talk to Kyron. What are you expecting from us?
no, it's exactly what Callie would want. It's all Callie's
Oh,
energy.
by the way,
100%.
I didn't. So I was going to bring this up, but it had already gotten to a really sad part, so I was like, "This is not the time." But during the badassery check, as we were walking in, Addie would have, if she sees Drew, make eye contact. But if not, then she'll just keep walking.
Yeah, you just get the look up, like, who the fuck? I don't give a shit about you.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid ass bitch, I'm with you.
She's gonna beat your ass.
Each of you are given
Where
leave
you fucking cobs?
to return to your cabins and reintroduce yourself to your siblings who you might be living with. Polix greets you at the door, V. Addie, Mitchell is there. Maya, you were not present for this conversation, and when you stormed away, where did you storm to? Back to your cabin?
She is going to sit behind the Apollo cabin, just in like a spot to sit.
Mhm.
And just sits there.
Okay. You sit there, and eventually you hear the horns called for everyone to move to the amphitheater. That night, there is a single black shroud burnt over the campfire, and there are no songs sung that night. It is quiet, it is reserved, it is mournful. And as the flames race up the black cloth, they take on a purple-black color of their own to reflect the emotions of the campers around them. Having been granted another set of powerful demigods, almost to immediately lose them again, and knowing there is a war coming. And no one sleeps well that night. And a few days later, there is held a celebration for you, though it is... People are attempting to be upbeat during it, but it is never quite at the level of energy that you'd hope for. You're each presented laurel wreaths, as you have now completed at least one quest.
Does Annie get 3?
No. Annie does not get to stack 3 laurel wreaths upon her head.
Damn.
But
Why
because for the audience, we are about to go into describing what everyone does in the 7 months leading up to the next summer. We're going to go ahead and go to our break. We will be back at the 15-minute mark. It's if you want to stick with us, we are just going to be going over the downtime and wrapping everything up. So
Heck
we'll
yeah.
be back.
Bye.
See you guys
Bye,
soon.
everybody. Hi, everybody. We're back from our break. It's nice to be back. I missed most of you. If I didn't miss you, you know who you are. You know who you are.
If Kenna is in the chat, we did not miss you.
I mean, I didn't
Kenna,
say
I
that.
missed you.
I missed you,
Kenna,
Ken.
I
It's
missed you.
okay.
You're great.
I was specifically talking to... Nah, I'm not going to call him out. Anyway, so here for the next, hour and a half, about-ish, we're going to be going over and just talking about what each of the characters did in the 7 months leading up to the next campaign, which we will be either starting next week, the week after, or ironing that out, but maybe next week. Probably, hopefully next week. Probably. I've got most of the stuff ready for it. But we're going to go ahead and start off with the easiest of the 6-month downtimes to go through. Val, what did your character Calliope do over the 7 months? Oh, you're muted. That's unfortunate. It's muted just like you are in the real world.
Oh! You ass!
Val, what did you do? Oh, no, we didn't get you. Didn't proc. You didn't proc.
Now you're not procking.
You nope.
Nope.
Dead. All
Oh,
dead.
okay. There you go.
He did.
Dead. There you go.
Calliope dead.
Dead.
All dead.
Calliope's
R.I.P.
dead. Yep. Okay.
Peace out.
So we don't get to know where she ends up.
Nope.
If she
You don't get to. Val, don't tell them about how
Oh.
you ended up in the Fields of Punishment.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that tracks.
Every day is a party there. A terrible party.
It's a terrible, terrible party.
Oh my god, why?
But
No.
now we get to actually get into the fun stuff. So first up, I had everybody roll during the break to see who would have to go first, and it's Kate who has to go first and talk to me about
So
what
much pressure.
Annie did over the 7 months. So we're just gonna go ahead and starting out with just the weeks after returning to Camp Half-Blood, after you had your laurel wreath ceremony, everything like that. If I'm remembering correctly, you and something to celebrate is your character of Annie and Luke began to date in earnest over that time. Y'all went on some
Yep.
dates. He didn't give you a
Yep.
Christmas present. It was great.
Wow. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck
Very,
you.
very important. Very
Yeah,
important.
Annie
Yeah.
stayed at camp
Got
everybody.
something
despite being a
different.
summer.
Yeah.
Despite being a summer camper, usually Annie stays at camp because her dad thinks she's away at boarding school in Connecticut, so she's like, okay. And then she mopes around in her cabin for a bit, and then really only leaves when Luke gets there.
I need to retcon something. There's something very important that the chat has reminded me of that is true. Callie would absolutely, in the 6 months, would be asking Hades about child support that entire time. I just want to point that out.
True.
Thank you,
True.
user 525 Eve. You are correct. You win
Any-
today's prize, which is just to be a really cool person.
Brewers.
Originally, she was going to just asphodel and she's like, what about that child support?
Yeah, where's the child
All
support?
right, Elysium. They'll pay for it.
You gotta pay it up in post-mortem.
So,
Listen,
yes.
I'm just saying, the first thing Callie does is walks down the staircase of Hades and says, "Where's our motherfucking child support?" And also, "Hi, Persephone. Love your work."
Where's the money? Where's the money? Stay down on the ground.
Like
So,
that TikTok
Stay down on the
that sounds
ground,
like,
you motherfucker.
like,
So,
God.
Annie,
Fuck.
you started
Are we
dating your
sure?
boyfriend. What do you do in the first few weeks? In the first few weeks,
Oh boy.
She goes full depression.
Yeah.
Just lays
Yeah.
in bed for a bit.
we talked about this. You spend about 3 to 4 weeks just in bed, not leaving your cabin.
Lie down, try not to cry a lot.
But eventually, your good friend Colm, who's not actually, I think, appeared on stream thus far, child of Demeter, one of your 2 best friends from camp, you actually having been reunited with your friends Lita and Colm, the 2 best friends that you'd had before leaving on your adventure. Colm actually manages to coax you out of your cabin by getting you interested in gardening, and you take up gardening for a little bit. And then you get a little bit more serious about it. And we've decided that over the next few weeks, you decided to take proficiency in herbalism and experiment with potion making, which is something that I found out is in PJO.
what?
That's a thing. Because Medea is
Crazy.
famous for it. So
Yeah.
we went through a couple rolls, and you have 1 functioning health potion right now?
Yeah, I have 1 healing potion and then half a healing potion that I kind of started to make and then realized it wasn't going my way and then went, this is a secret that'll help us later.
And
so
then- once you were coaxed out of your cabin and spent some more time with your boyfriend and with your best friends, you begin to go about life normally at camp, training a little bit more. And you picked up a little bit of a job for a little bit, right?
Yeah, so one of the things is she kind of thinks, well, there's also
Oh, did we miss something? Did we skip something?
the conversation.
Oh, that's important. We need to
Yeah,
not skip that.
happens before, that happens.
That's before even the depression. That's before everything. That's like
That's
the
like-
second or third week. Yeah.
That's like a couple
Okay.
of days in.
So, this is something that's very important. At the beginning of your depressive state, probably early December, you are laying in your cabin, talking to just no one in the room. Do you remember what you said?
I just remember saying that she like kind of lays in bed talking out every night, not really talking to anyone in particular, but subconsciously speaking to her mom, just kind of asking, trying to make sense of it all, because right now she's always had very strong ideals of how the quest system works and how demigods are in relation to their parents and how they're supposed to behave. But then everything that happened with Calliope, and it's like, does she get to go to Elysium?
And
like,
you talked about how it was unfair that Calliope had paid a price for nothing, it felt like.
yeah,
And then, as you were saying that, you heard a voice respond. And you looked over into the bunk next to yours, and there was a tall, darker woman with curly hair along her shoulders, wearing a red leather jacket, staring up at the ceiling. And she had simply responded that Calliope's death had meant something and had bought you time, something that you didn't have before. And you had a small conversation with your mother in which you discussed the quest system, Calliope's sacrifice, and also you discussed the fate of your brother Ethan Nakamura and where he had ended up in the underworld, and you found out that he did indeed reach Elysium. And that is a conversation that you had very early on in that 7 months. So yeah, and then the whole thing with Calm happens.
well, Nemesis also let slip, but Chiron kind of let it slip, that something big was happening, and from there, I have before Colm that she goes full in on research and hitting up the libraries.
You did. Oh, were
And
you
I
the one?
have
Okay, were you the one who did the blank
times
research?
2 proficiency on
Yes,
history
okay.
/ religion about monster. I'm assuming it's something to do with a
It
specific
is
serpent.
serpents.
Yeah.
You spent, I think, a solid 3 or 4 weeks researching, right? It was a decent amount of time. But you become a bit of an expert in Grecian and mythological serpents, which is good to know, because that's going to be very important for the coming quests.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Como stuff happened.
Yeah, and
Yes.
then she picks up gardening and herbalism.
And then the herbalism happens, you pick up gardening. And one of the important things that a couple of people in the group took me up on is, over time, Chiron established a paid voluntary service of guarding the temple of the Oracle in California, where campers could work 3-day shifts of going and guarding the temple, and making sure that it would not be reclaimed by any monsters or their ilk. During this time, Annie picked up a few shifts, and on one day,
a lot of shifts every shift.
yeah,
they go
you picked up, I think, like 4 or 5 weeks worth of shifts.
2 or 3 weeks worth.
Oh, that's
over
what it
the course
was.
of the 7 months.
And you, at one point, were seated on a stone outlooking the flat desert, looking back towards the entrance to the underworld, which you could see from the top of the temple. And you saw a figure, 5.5 feet-ish tall, pale, with dark hair, walking out. And you recognize this figure, because you've seen him once or twice. You saw him especially during the Battle of New York, leading a legion of undead down Central Avenue. So you decided to investigate and followed, and came back to the entrance to the underworld, where there you were unable to find Nico D'Angelo or Cadmus. You did, however, leave a note, which I will be addressing again later. And after you went to leave, you found something. What did you find?
She noticed in the ground, in the dirt, next to where Nico's footprints had. He shadow traversed where they had like stopped, kind of. A gold little coin.
You did. And you were curious about this coin because it was marked with things that you didn't recognize. This didn't look like a drachma. It was about half as thick, but around the same size. One side was a face with a laurel wreath on the top of it, and the other was numerals. So you took this back to Chiron when you returned to camp, and Chiron kindly asked you to not look into it, stating that
okay, sir.
Yeah.
And he was immediately like, okay, I don't want my head chopped off by the gods, so that's a good...
Saying that he personally would let you know if he could about what was going into it, but researching this further would draw eyes that you didn't want. And then after that, I'm pretty sure we have one thing left with you, right?
She takes up flying on
Okay.
Pegasi.
So we have two things left then, because you did take up flying, which I think a few of you took up flying on Pegasi. Raise your hand if you took up flying on Pegasi in this time. Yeah. Technically, V, you would also count because your first month, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then do you want to tell everyone about what you spent the last 13 weeks of your spare time doing?
So one night she goes to Lita and remembers to show Lita this really cool...
For the audience, Lita
is her best friend, daughter of Hephaestus.
Yeah.
Because at one point, one of the one-shots we did was that Annie was part of a group that like went and did a favor for Hephaestus, and as a reward, she got like this really cool Iron Man armor that's like a pauldron, and then she slaps it and it turns into like boop, 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 like full armor. It's really cool. And then so Annie goes to show Lita the armor, and eventually they work together to make a sword.
Nice.
And they spend a lot. They spend 13 weeks making it. It's really cool. It's called Lord Explosion Murder.
Also known as...
It's called what?
A Crixie.
Which you decided to also nickname...
Lord Explosion Murder.
Lord Explosion Murder.
Nice.
Which is a pretty fun little magic item that Kate and I spent an amount of time homebrewing.
Just a little fun.
There's just a little bit of fire involved on it.
Just a little bit of fire, a little bit of...
I approve.
Part of the deal that you made with Lita for this was during the summer, while you would not be present at camp, the armor that you had been gifted by the god Hephaestus during a one-shot that we held, it is a collapsible pauldron that turns into a full set of armor that you would allow to be left in Lita's care for her to study and possibly reproduce. And then after that, we come to your last day of camp, which you slept in because you'd been up till midnight the previous night building Lord Explosion Murder.
Yeah. So so Annie is usually a summer camper. She's not a year-rounder, but because she had stayed so long at camp, she stayed throughout like what had been the school year. She decides to go home, and part of that is influenced by the conversation she had with Nemesis in December. Nemesis kind of told her, take the time to be a teenager while you can, because something big is coming. And yeah, so she decides to go home for the summer and finish out it would be her junior or senior year of high school. I think it would be her senior year. Or no, junior year.
It would be junior year.
Yeah, junior
we
year.
discussed this. It would be junior year.
And junior year of high school.
And because of that, Antigone will not be joining us for our second round of quests, and we will talk about the character that you will have at the end of the show. We're going to be doing a quick overview of people's characters.
Yeah. So she, hugs Lita and calls goodbye and glares at Gloria.
Does she say anything to her boyfriend before she goes?
Yeah,
I was waiting.
she's holding Luke's hand, she's kind of like at the gate. Her stepmom's there waiting in the minivan, waving hi. And like she really wants to go say hi to her stepmom, but like she doesn't want to leave Luke. And she's just like So you're coming to homecoming, right? It's in October. You're coming.
Right. Sorry, thought it was a question.
No,
My bad.
You're not getting out of it.
Yeah, I know.
My dad's gonna want to meet you.
Oh God.
It's okay.
Oh,
he's really nice.
Why is that Why is that more terrifying than everything else we've
Oh,
done?
you should be more scared of my mom.
I am,
Yeah,
but
I am
also,
too.
yeah. Hey, be safe out there, okay?
You too. Try not to win too many times at Capture the Flag.
Oh, I will. I gotta catch up. You beat me like what? 5 times? I got like 5 games to catch up on.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
Get a bit of a head start by the time you get back.
Have fun. Don't get a quest while I'm gone.
I'll try my best not to do that. Yeah. No promises though.
Yeah. And then she kisses him goodbye.
Yep.
They finally kiss in game.
Yep. I love
like,
that.
At this point, they're dating for months, so it's fine.
Oh yeah, no.
6 people clapping, 4 of them were muted.
Yeah, no. Their first kiss was
Aaron,
definitely
don't make
like.
me repeat.
Oh,
my
that first
out of
kiss was
context quote.
fucking hilarious. I
Yeah,
loved
anyway,
that first kiss. It was so good.
Anyway,
Okay.
so yeah, that's Annie.
Okay. That was Annie. So next up we have Abby. Do you want to talk about what V goes through over the 7 months, December
Goes
and the
through?
6th? Well, there's a little bit of an adjustment period.
Honestly.
Before we even get to the
I
trauma
mean,
stuff, we can just talk about your first month.
All right. First month, V chooses to stay at camp and actually gets a lot closer with her brother
Polix,
and
yeah.
takes up a job at the stables where she tends to the Pegasi and makes a little bit of coin. You know what it
So-
do.
Because the characters are so heavily intertwined, I'm going to go ahead and bring up something from young Addie's storyline. Because this is going to be referenced in Addie's storyline. But during the month that you are there at the stables, Addie spends a fair amount of time with you. Not, making the money that you're making because there's only one stable assistant. But you spend a lot of time riding Pegasi together and just being around each other, and it's nice.
V does make sure to take extra special care of Eraser, the Pegasus that, we all
Black
love so
streak
much.
permanently fucking stained into his forehead as he wipes letters off of the sign.
Yeah, so Eraser gets a little bit of extra treatment and maybe a few extra snacks when Polix isn't looking,
He's getting
but other
fat.
than that- He's getting fat.
Okay. And then at the end of the month, you decided to do something, to try something.
Yeah, V decided against literally every other bone in her body telling her not to go home and live with her mom in upstate New York.
So you discuss this with Chiron, and Chiron agrees to have a few satyrs take you home, with the assumption that you are attempting this and the possibility of you might be coming back to Camp Half-Blood. You were taken home, and your mother opened the door, and she was just sobbing to see you. She didn't ask where you'd been. She gave you space for the first time in your life. But you...
More importantly, who else
Yeah.
was there?
More importantly, when your mother opened the door and the two of you had your reunion, and you sat down at the kitchen table, and from your mom's room comes a little black cat with one blue eye and one green eye, already at home waiting for you. Little Shadow having... Yeah.
Oh boy.
A little bit of probing, we find out that apparently, to my mother, Shadow never left. So we assumed that he would bound all the way back home.
He crossed the
in
country
between
like
us.
4 times over the course of your guys' quest. When he disappeared,
Cat
days at a
deserves
time,
the MVP
Yeah.
award of this campaign.
I was keeping track of whether or not he would be like out of the mom's sight, and he managed to make it back every time, and then would just disappear for a couple days.
That's insane. And
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love Shadow.
Shadow for campaign MVP.
Yeah, I agree.
100%.
And then you and your mom kind of didn't talk about it for a while. That's something we had discussed. Is like you just kind of began to cohabitate with your mother in this house, and she would exist in the room that you were in, often reading a book or just being in the same room as you, but she wouldn't ask you anything. And eventually, you sat down and you had a discussion with your mother, of which you were able to get across the point of, this is what happened over winter, this is where I've been, and this is where I'll be going back to during summer. And she took it better than you'd think, or than you'd thought, but she still doesn't seem to exactly understand. Like, she knows what you're saying, and she tracks that, but we discussed that she is having a hard time grasping the concepts.
Yeah.
And you began to attend high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legally obligated to attend high school.
Yeah. Yeah. So because you
But
chose to live with your mortal
so
parents,
she
you were
started
given-
attending Arlington High School in upstate New York. That is a real school if you care to look it up.
Where in upstate? Where in upstate?
But
Abby, give me.
shit,
Where?
Don't
Where?
party
I'm
yourself,
gonna
Abby. I
In
told you this was gonna
Arlington,
happen. I
you
made
idiot.
you do the homework.
I will judge you heavily based on where upstate she's from.
Obviously,
Oh,
it's
no.
in Arlington.
Obviously, it's, the upper bit.
New
Right?
Yorker. Sure, that works. It's the up bit.
It's the up
Dutchess
bit, the bit that's
County.
up the state.
Okay.
In Lagrangeville
Yeah, I see.
on Route 55.
Yeah. I'm sorry for whoever we're accidentally doxing by just saying the name of this high school.
Sorry, we're
Sorry.
saying our fictional character lives in
Fun
this
fact,
place.
the reason I chose that high school in particular is because there was a Dunkin' right next to it.
Oh, she's from Canada. She's basically from Canada.
Okay, well,
Love
yeah.
it.
that's fine.
No,
For
not
sure.
Canada. Shoot, that's not Canada. That is that's right near
Connecticut.
Connecticut.
I was about to say
Connecticut.
that New York is not near Canada. Regardless,
New York is very much.
no, really, there is no border shared between Canada and New York.
Anyway,
No,
Anyway.
American geography aside,
I mean, this matters though. Also, the only person, the one of two people who's lived in New York for any amount of time just got that wrong. Is all I'm pointing out. All I'm pointing out.
Just saying. Wait. Just saying.
God damn it, guys.
V and Annie live like an hour away from each.
Um.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, she doesn't know that.
So V, you attend high school. Did you do the homework I told you to do?
Which homework?
Were you?
Is it
Were
the
you?
thing that I sent you? The V's High School Adventure?
Wait, did you send that? Oh, I didn't read it.
Yeah, what the
Because I didn't
So-
realize I'd gotten it. Oh,
So
shit.
V and Annie live an hour away from each other, and V consciously chose not to go to the same high school as Annie.
Why would you
Oh.
go to a high school that's an hour away from you?
I went further
will
away
have
for
you know,
college.
I told Aaron
That's
Aaron
college.
directly that V is not contacting
College is your high
Annie
school.
unless Annie
Yeah.
contacts her first.
Yep.
Okay, British college is American high school.
Yeah. Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Anyway, yes.
Don't worry
so
about it.
he spends the next couple months just going to high school and being a normal person, and you get a decent allowance. You make some money from your mom, but just by existing,
Oh, you didn't run away today. Here's $5.
Honestly, yeah.
Literally.
Really, that's their relationship right now. It's still not. It's not
Amazing.
the best relationship, but it's comfortable.
It's
it's
something.
Yeah.
And Mom lets me drink.
Ah.
She doesn't like it. She doesn't like it, but she lets you do it because she doesn't want you to run away again, you
God
emotional
damn it.
terrorist. Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, it's so accurate, but so awful.
yeah. And I don't think we had any other major events for your life,
On
did
my
we?
weekends.
Oh, on your weekends.
Actually,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. Yeah. You did have something. If you want to tell the audience about it.
Yeah. So every once in a while, V would come back to camp every
Yes.
odd weekend, maybe once, twice a month. And decided to take a tactics course at Camp
Yeah.
Half-Blood, mainly because the reason she always saw her and Cadmus as equals in every way except for Cad always had the upper hand in tactics. And so in his honor, she decided to brush up on her little tactics and whenever she would show up to camp, she'd be wearing this blue hoodie with Callie's initials embroidered into the cufflink, just like she put there.
So sad.
Yeah, and she actually, for the people who would have come in contact with, Ben is the only one who I've actually RP'd this conversation out with, so this will be a shock to some people. But our little daughter of Dionysus is actually just child of Dionysus, as prefers to go by they them pronouns.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yoink!
Yup.
Got to be the first to know, and he really appreciated that.
Yep. And that was really fucking
Hell
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So dope.
then I don't think they have anything else major, right? Other than the tactics course?
Unless you're talking about all the bitches no.
I'm gonna say, how dare. Well,
No.
heavily intertwined with, because I know you two spent a lot of time together outside of the last 7 months. We're just gonna go directly into Addie. So Addie, with the full composure of a professional, coming into this conversation.
Amazing.
Addie, let's go ahead and start you off. Couple weeks after returning to Camp Half-Blood.
Okay.
Because there was a one-shot that was done where most of it is non-canon, but there's still a fair amount of it that is canon.
Oh god.
Where you were introduced to the nerdy and not well-spoken son of the Phlegathon, known as Asher, and his massive robot Myrmidon. And we forgot to RP that in our meeting that was like 3 hours ago.
I know.
Oh my god.
Do you want to talk about that real quick? Now we know where the rest of it went. Did you call him back?
I definitely did.
Okay.
Oh my god.
So if you're keeping contact with Asher, and for those of you who are unaware, Asher was a character who was an NPC who came up in one of our one-shots and was a son of a minor god, one of the 5 rivers of the underworld, who was stealing celestial bronze from Mount Olympus to sell. And the group apprehended him, but he escaped, not before giving Addie a way to contact him. And their friend Heros, which was a character played by Birdie, has access to a phone that is equipped with the Hephaestus network, meaning that no matter where anyone is, he can contact them. And I'm assuming using Heros' phone whenever Heros is at camp, you would be able to keep tabs with Asher. And you would eventually give him your personal number to call you whenever he's in the overworld. Okay. So Asher would call you back after a couple weeks. Hey, I just got out of the underworld.
Hi. How was it?
It's hot. I met this guy down there. I think he was with you the first time we met. Or no, he wasn't with you the first time we met, but I met this guy down there, and he's really odd, but we've been talking a lot.
Fucking snitch.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
How long are you gonna be not there?
Ooh, that depends. What are you doing this weekend?
Oh, well, I have a D&D session, but do you play?
I've dabbled. Not a whole lot of people to play with in the underworld, though.
That's fair. I mean, I'm really close with the dungeon master. If you want to like hop in, I could help you build a character.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, I'll show up. What time?
Cool. 8.
Cool.
In the Athena cabin, if you know where that is.
Yeah, I can do that.
Cool.
And this goes on for several months. Something that I should mention now is Addie. We decided this. Joined the Dungeons and Dragons game at Camp Half-Blood. And
I did not know this was a thing.
You weren't invited, so fight me.
Wow.
Because it wasn't a thing until I had that conversation with Hannah about 4 hours ago.
Wow.
But who is in it?
If you want to talk about who's in it, Addie's D&D group consists of Malcolm Pace, cabin leader of Cabin 6, the Athena cabin, who's the dungeon master. A Nissa Barrera, daughter of Hephaestus. a Max Armstrong, who loves to play a barbarian.
Hey!
Wow.
Addie, and a Senna Bell, daughter of Hypnos, and they play Dungeons
Yeah.
and Dragons together every Saturday.
That's
Okay, but
that
what's
is
Annie- what is
amazing, and I
Addie's-
love it.
What does Addie play?
Yeah, what does
So-
Addie play?
Addie plays Blix, a changeling bard, who's
This is top
basically an identity thief and just like is a different person every like session and does different
That's
accents
awesome.
and like pretends to be different people.
That's so
and
good.
yeah, so that's
So when
So
is
what
the
I'm hearing is
mini-series
Max-
starting of these
We
guys
need to
playing
have
a
a
D&D game?
mini-series.
Max,
When
I
is the
mean,
mini-series starting?
I'm sure one of these days I'll bring in a one-shot where someone can play like Nissa and stuff like that. We'll do this one-shot one of these days. Well,
so Max
do that.
plays
Where they
Max
just play
plays an
D&D.
Max plays an orange dragonborn barbarian called Jax because he's not very creative.
yeah.
Amazing.
Wait, I imagine Max's best friend shows up one time and is just very out of it and just like sits back and keeps interrupting. But we'll get
Yep.
into her.
Oh,
We'll get
and
to-
you
we'll get
already
into that in a
know that V gives Addie pointers on how to be an identity thief.
oh heck yes. And that, she was inspired. V helped her make her character actually is
Yep.
what
They
I'm
didn't
What
know
the
they were
worst part
doing,
is
but-
I had stuff to work on today, chat, and I instead decided to write like 400 words about Addie's fake D&D group.
That's amazing. That is
Um,
so good, and I
The
love it.
characters they play, what their favorite snacks are for at the table.
Oh my god.
Fun fact: Max Armstrong's is an entire rotisserie.
That's
chicken
what
with-
that was for.
That's what that
Is
was
that
for.
what you guys? That's what that was for?
Just sits down to fucking play D&D with an entire rotisserie chicken. Just
Yeah.
Mad
So
respect.
that's something that Addie picks
Amazing.
up. And in the first month, Addie would start talking to Asher, and hang out with V a lot while V is at camp. But then V decides to go home, and Addie we spoke about this, that Chiron gave you permission to visit your father on weekends,
Mhm.
because of his decreased mental state.
And we go to Costa Rica.
Yeah, you guys have a little vacation. We talk about this. You go for 2 weeks.
Mhm.
That your aunt helped your father sell his house in LA, and he bought a bigger apartment in New York, and there is a spare bedroom for you whenever you come and visit. And the three of you went on a little 2-week vacation to Costa Rica. Well, while you were on vacation, one point you looked up out into the sky, and there was a flying boat where Asher came and visited you in Costa Rica for a little bit.
Wow.
Oh, wooga.
Because
So romantic.
well, he doesn't have anything else to do. He's either building something in the underworld or hanging out in the overworld.
friendship ended with Annie and Luke. Addie and Asher is the best relationship in game.
That's fair.
Amazing.
And
That's
Luke are, like,
so
basic.
good. I love that. That is so funny.
Yeah, and then you decided to spend some time also, because you had had passing interactions with Annie, because this came up during Addie's conversation. You got into some stuff where you decided to study for a while and picked up proficiencies in both nature and herbalism kits, and also
Yeah.
brewed some potions.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So the two
Annie
of you,
totally introduced
yeah,
Addie to Colm. And
Yeah.
Colm's just this
Yes.
big teddy. He's like 6'5" and super hunky and muscular, but he's just the biggest teddy bear.
you know,
And he like doesn't really talk a lot either. He's a silent, cuddly.
That's
teddy
okay.
bear.
Addie talks so much that
this
just
plant, this one
Colm's there
is
to listen.
chrysanthemum flower. It's really pretty.
it is really pretty.
It's just- he is the definition of serene.
Oh, we left out a very important thing at the beginning. You went to the Hephaestus cabin.
I did.
You went to the Hephaestus cabin.
But I would like to make the connection that since there's a Hephaestus kid in my D&D group,
Yeah,
that
That's how
this
you
is
did that.
why I got that connection.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I asked a few Hephaestus kids if they would help me finish my sword I started.
you charmed 7 of them.
I mean,
Wow.
You charmed them?
Not with
I
magic, just with her looks.
Okay.
I made checks
Okay.
earlier.
The
But
persuasion
Amazing.
checks were off the charts.
7 Hephaestus kids are helping Addie finish her sword that she started with Luke during those activities at camp. And so if I remember correctly, DM, and correct me if I'm wrong, what we decided on is a leaf blade that has the rose gold wash, of course, on the celestial bronze. A silver hilt with a red heart jewel in it, and there's like little doves carved into the hilt.
Little dove
and
feathers on the hilt, yeah.
it glows and sparkles. So since Addie's a huge nerd, she named it Gil, which is Elvish for star, because it's sparkles.
Straight up went Tolkienian Elvish to name her sword.
Yep.
Amazing.
And if you click the jewel, it turns into a fully functional red lipstick.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Someone brought this up earlier, I think it was Birdie, who said, how long after, Addie retires and, that lipstick is just somewhere, that someone in the Aphrodite cabin just tries to use it and turns it the wrong direction?
Well,
Also, what happens when the lipstick runs out?
It doesn't. That's part of the charm.
It's like Riptide.
Yeah.
It doesn't ever run out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what they get for trying to steal her lipstick.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
exactly. I just imagine this really cool moment where she is charming someone and is using the lipstick, and then all of a sudden it's bam, it's a sword.
So I was describing this to Kate before the game, and Kate used the exact same verbiage and wording of "ba-bam" to describe what you would do with the lipstick.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then
Amazing.
for the remainder of your time at Camp Half-Blood,
Yes.
you decided to pick up V's old job of being the assistant Pegasus carer at the stables, and began to teach classes and care for the Pegasi. I made a hefty amount of drachma doing it.
I did. It's how I was able to make potions, because I could afford it. But definitely lots of brushing, lots of braiding their hair, and yeah.
Lots of sneaking in sugar cubes, even though they're not supposed to have them,
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that wraps up Addie. I don't think there's anything else major in Addie.
I don't think so. We talked about Asher. We talked about the D&D thing. We talked about the job. Yeah.
Very important question. Have you and Asher kissed yet?
Odd or even.
Odd. Always odd.
Yes.
I bet you it was Costa Rica.
It was Costa Rica.
It was
It
so
was-
Costa
yeah.
Rica.
Your Honor, my best friend is a hoe.
Oh my god. Wait, V. Wait a minute. When did this become a whorehouse?
First of all, whore.
Hannah and I briefly talked about a very awkward double date in which it's her and her boyfriend and me and my gay best friend.
Jesus.
Which would 100% have happened, by the way, if Asher was available, of course.
Canon.
Yeah.
It's canon.
Yes.
And okay, so that means that's Addie. Now we're up to Luke.
Sup? Hello.
Luke, what are you doing over the 7 months? Do you remember anything that we talked about?
Yes, I have it written down. I did
Okay.
write it down. I promise you I wrote it down. I think.
Okay, good.
No, I did.
Okay.
Obviously, a few things that we've already talked about. Relationship progressions with Annie. That happens.
Yep.
All of that. I'm currently looking through my notes. So a lot of that, obviously, but then he's spending a lot of his time checking in on the other members of the quest that are still currently at camp, making sure they're okay, kind of spending time with them to just try and lighten the mood and just let them know that he's there for them if they need anything. Whilst I can't believe this, I'm just reading the wording of this now and it's even better. Because whilst Annie was away on her trip in Costa Rica, he sent her a letter where he mentioned a certain Asher. So I'm gonna say so that response would be interesting. I would love to see a response to that letter.
Did you send it already?
Yeah, about that.
Did you send the
I have
letter
sent-
already?
I have sent it. Yes.
Do you want to read it out for the rest of us?
It is a long letter.
Oh,
there's
never
a lot
mind
of
then. We
stuff
will
in there,
adjust that
so
later.
yes.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what you functionally did over your 7 months
Mhm.
was you picked up a couple of jobs actually
I
over the course of
did.
7 months.
Yes.
What did the
I
jobs you picked
did.
up?
Trying to remember the order of them now.
The first one was the one in the woods.
Yes, which was with the Athena kids,
No,
right?
the Athena Kids was the second job. The first one was the one for Chiron.
Right. Yes. So during the first couple months, wanting to kind of be like helpful around camp, he went to Chiron to see if there was anything that he could do to help, and possibly earn some money as well. And he picked up a job doing monster tracking and collecting monster parts from the woods, which he spent probably the first like 3 to 4 months doing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Had a good amount of coin doing that.
And you got how many trophies?
I got 1 during that, I believe.
2. You sold
2?
one.
Oh wait, no, yes, no, I did. I did get 2. You're right, you do. Because originally I had 1, and then we changed the thing. Yeah, I had 2. Yeah, I got what was it? I'm trying to remember what it was now. I've got it.
Write them
Hold
down.
on.
I've got
I
them
did
right
write
here,
it
but
down.
I'm giving you.
I've
you
got
the
it written down, but
first.
I have no idea how to pronounce the first word.
Cyrastes?
Brain is doing. That's the one, Cyrastes.
Do you guys remember the rubber
Ugh.
snakes you fought in Addie's apartment?
Yeah.
He has the
I
horn
got
of
a
one of those
Cyrastes
snakes now.
horn. I got
You
that.
mean when
Yep.
Addie said leave and the snake flew out of the building?
He yeeted himself out the window.
Here's a window.
Out a window.
I rolled a d4, and that's the direction it went. All right.
Why is it always gotta be snakes? God damn it. It makes sense. Yeah, so I got that. And the second item I got was a Pegasus feather.
Yeah. And
Can't remember what that
sold that one.
does because I
Did
sold
you
it.
kill
I
a
did.
Pegasus?
No. I don't know how I would have gotten that, but I'm
He
saying
found it.
no.
It's okay. It's
No.
okay.
Absolutely not. No.
Um,
No.
so,
I didn't. It was floating through the air and I just...
So, after that, it wasn't the most fruitful of things, but you ended up getting a job working for the Athena Kids, building their projects, and you made a decent amount of coin off of that as well.
Uh-huh. And they didn't invite me to their D&D game, and I'm
Well,
sad
it was
about
specifically Malcolm. He's the cabin leader, you know.
Fair enough.
It's valid.
If he caught wind of it, he would politely ask if he could be in a one-shot or a game.
Yeah, he's like, it's that situation. It's like when I have room for you, and then you just don't get an invite back.
Okay,
No,
cool.
Addie would have tried to be like, hey, can my friend join us today? For sure. Just.
I've got a group
Fair.
first for some newer players coming in. Maybe I'll throw them in that group. You know, that kind of conversation.
Wow.
But did you have anything else important that went on over the few weeks?
During the quest that was previously mentioned, where we went to Olympus to help Hephaestus, he found out that his lightning sword was in safety mode the whole time.
That's
It was
canon and
child lock.
accurate. There was child
It was
luck.
It was
his-
child locked, and it
His
is now
father
a long
or his
sword.
mother gave him. It's an arming sword now. But yeah,
yes,
yeah.
arming
His
sword. Yeah.
his mother had the child safety lock on it, so he couldn't hurt himself too bad if he fucked up messing
Wow.
with the sword.
He
So
refers
it's
to
now
it
deals
as
with
it has
D8.
the capability to also be a short sword, is the way he refers to it, and will take
Sylvia
nothing
is
else.
my favorite person ever.
Sylvia's the best. I love
Sylvia is
so
great.
much. Yeah, and that's a thing that
Best
happened.
He's
NPC.
gonna leave him for
Yep.
her.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. You know, we talked about it earlier. Great gilf.
No.
Anyway, so
You will die.
I think that's it for Luke, right? I don't think there was anything else that
I
came up.
think so.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I believe you just
Before-
spent a lot of time just checking in on people and just going around everyone, really. No specific conversations that I picked up on, but just, yeah, a lot of just training and earning coin and just making just checking in on everyone, really.
So before I get to the next person, because he has a very complex tale to tell, several of you did attempt, and we talked about this, to iris message Cadmus in the time he
Yeah,
was
that
not.
is something I did do.
And every time you attempted, the iris message did not go through. He was somewhere that was not reachable via iris message. Including, I believe, Luke attempted, V attempted, and I think Maya, we said you attempted at one point? No, you didn't attempt to. Okay. So, Cadmus, directly after placing your sister's corpse in the coffin of quartz, you entered the underworld, finding yourself on the far side of the fields of Asphodel, and you said you had immediately made your way towards the judging, correct?
The Hall of Judgment, or whatever it's called. Also, by the way, the limit I said before this, I'm now, after hearing everything that's been revealed so far, I'm happy to go past that as far as you are comfortable with.
I think where we had previously said is good enough to leave it there. I think we're gonna leave it there.
So yeah, his first agenda was finding out where his sister was in the afterlife,
and you made it there right when she had finished getting judged and saw the ending of your sister's judging, where the judges were going through her memories and seeing what she had seen.
Am I allowed to say?
And you watched your sister go through the gates and head towards
Elysium.
Yes.
Okay.
As Calliope walked her way towards Elysium, Cadmus decided not to follow.
Aww.
Yeah, he's satisfied just knowing where she is. He's not ready to talk to her. Because he thinks that she's gonna say things that he doesn't want to hear right now, like it's okay, it's not your fault. So
obviously all lies, all incorrect.
Obviously all incorrect
words.
things.
Yeah.
So he has gone in search of tutelage.
Which you received.
He received in the form of the Furies, Alecto and Tisiphone, the Furies of anger and vengeance.
Yeah, he wandered the underworld for a bit, looking for someone to train him, and he found the Furies. And
Where did
eventually,
they
the
take me?
Furies, they took you far across the underworld, past the fields of punishment, to an empty, barren wasteland where corpses stood tall. You realize these are the bodies of every person who's entered the underworld and never left. This is where the physical remains go, outside of the soul.
And he was trained by the Furies alongside training partners, who are the original Jason and Hector.
Yep, that's who he was being trained by over the course of several months. During that time, when Cadmus had a day off, he was wandering along the underworld and found his way to the shores of the Phlegathon, where he encountered a quirky individual on a boat.
Yep. And I met Asher.
Phlegathon.
Yeah.
And the way that roleplay probably went is like, are you predeceased? Are you?
I'm alive.
Sorry, it's been a while.
What are you doing down here?
What am I? You're sailing a boat on a river of fire.
And I look cool doing it. What are you doing?
I'm wandering.
Myrmidon, he calls out, and you see one metal hand out of the river of fire, landing on the ship, pulling itself up as this 8-foot tall pillar of black and silver metal just lands on the ship. It's apologize. We had someone very loud with a short penis drive past my house.
It's Asher.
Wait a second. Incorrect.
Oh, he's backing. Oh, my best friend's gonna get
This is a child.
Asher's 18. It's fine.
Anyway,
Okay.
Addie and Cadmus are gonna fight.
So, you make fast friends as you both live somewhere that's quite isolated, and Asher shows you towards the upper shores of the Phlegathon, the cavern that he lives in while he's in the underworld. where his workshop and forge is set up, using the fires of the Phlegathon to forge.
And the Furies insist that Cad can't train 24/7, even if that is what Cad would prefer. So on his days off, Cad convinces Asher to take him places, and he goes to the mortal world, and he checks in with his mother.
So the first thing it's the first place you go is Asher rides the upper sections of the Phlegathon, eventually you depositing out onto the ocean floor off the coast of California, and you are very quickly rocketed up to the surface and fly your way towards Los Angeles, where you eventually find the hospital that you left your mother at months and months ago. And you check, and there, the third Fury, who was not training you, stands waiting, watching.
Where she's still in a coma, and next to her bed is a bouquet of grey lilies.
Yep. Not native to the overworld, but now you know, since you've been there, native to the underworld. It seems like somebody's been checking up on your mom.
Yep. And he also checked in with Chuck.
Yep, who is living. Chuck is alive.
Yes. Yeah.
Chuck is paralyzed from the waist down and walking around in a wheelchair.
Thank the
But
gods. Thank the gods.
if anyone in the goddamn mortal world can thrive without legs, it is Chuck fucking Beauregard.
Yeah. Chuck
I
is
think we decided he makes a motorcycle instead of a wheelchair.
Yeah,
right?
basically.
He's working on it. He hasn't finished it yet, but he wants a wheelchair that turns into a motorcycle. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember quite how Cad comes by this information, but he eventually, through the whispers of the underworld, does learn of the Ophiomaki prophecy.
Yes, that is something we also talked about. Was in your earlier walkings through the underworld is something you would hear about. It's something that dead people often talk about as prophecies.
And Cad is filled with a new drive, where previously he was training to get stronger so he could fight the likes of Terry and the Iamidai. Now he has a new plan. We won't go into the specifics, but he wants to stop the Ophiomaki from happening. So, on his days, on his off days from training, when he's told the Furies that he's resting, he's actually sneaking off and actively hunting down any low-level monsters that have anything to do with snakes. And he is using a new magic item he acquired from the fields of the dead, called Vasilius Edge.
It's a little dagger.
A Stygian iron dagger accompanying his Stygian iron breastplate.
It's very cool.
And he threatens them, essentially, saying, I can kill you one of two ways. I can kill you with Celestial Bronze and you'll be discorporated for a while, or I can kill you with Stygian Iron and you'll be discorporated for a long, long time.
Because, for those of you who are not aware, Stygian Iron sends monsters directly to Tartarus. It is a very long time before things killed with Stygian Iron resurface.
So that is how he's been getting information about the Ophiomaki.
And then, one day, while you were training, the Furies decided to end your training early as a figure approached you over a hill. 5-foot-tall-ish boy with dark hair and pale skin. And that's where we're going to leave your story for a while.
I just want to add one thing.
I'm not there yet. Annie.
Cadmus took Lamia's eye from Callie's corpse. So once he found his chest plate, which has the trophy mechanic, he hasn't slept in months.
Yep. Correct. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why he had so much spare time. It's because your boy doesn't need to sleep. Because that's one of the things, if you guys were unaware, that the Lamia's left eye grants as a benefit is you can still do light activity instead of resting.
But as Cadmus can't even dream, he doesn't feel much use in sleeping. And that's,
Yeah, and that's where we'll leave Cadmus for a while. We have one person left, and that is young Maya.
The saddest one.
The sad one. Sad boy. Well, we have to talk about a couple of things near the end of yours, especially leading up to the day before the first day of summer. But let's start at the beginning.
I take issue with the saddest one.
You had a friend during that time. Oh. Maya has pushed away her friends.
Maya goes straight home after the ceremonies. Goes into her room, puts her journal in a shoebox and stuffs it at the bottom of her closet. And for the next 3 months, all she does is eat, sleep, and stay in her room.
Yep. Maya
That
goes,
information, I would have sent you a letter in that time.
okay, you can write that out and send that to her, and we'll talk about
I
it.
didn't know that was what you were doing. I'll do that.
She spends her 14th birthday in her room, doing nothing.
Yep.
Just staring at the window.
Eventually, though, you do find reason to leave your room, if you'll remember.
I can't remember! Hang on!
Okay. Well, the reason that you went is because you went to talk to a specific person, because you finally felt up to it. If you'll remember.
Oh, yes,
a certain. Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
well,
eventually.
I think that was after her mum forced her to go back to camp.
That's fair. That is a conversation that you and your mother had. Was.
Yes.
Your mom loves you very much and was very worried as to where you were at, and you know that Apollo had talked to her about everything. He had discussed that with you previously. But the reason you and your mother have never had a good relationship is because your mother is a very free spirit. And this is unfortunately the way it was stated, but it was that it was more convenient for you to spend more time at camp. There's no question that she loved you, but it was one of those things where she was not the most present of people.
Yeah.
And she sent you back to camp, and you, after returning to camp, decided to speak with the Oracle of Delphi, with Rachel, someone you'd had a passing connection with previously, but had not had much time to speak to. And when you return, the Oracle had just returned from the desert, where you found out that Chiron had set up a watch of people to guard the temple. And during that time, it's something you wouldn't have noticed in your depressive state, but once you've reached back to camp and thought about the temple once more, you feel your connection to the temple is gone. It seems someone else has taken control of the temple, which you figure that was probably Rachel. And she's been spending half her time at camp, half of her time at the temple, writing down old prophecies, learning what she can, trying to channel the future once more to gain insight. And you drew something and took it to her.
I did.
You did.
So after being at camp for a few weeks, Maya finally gets out her journal and slowly but surely begins drawing, not really calling forth on the prophetic abilities that she has until one day she decides to. She tries to focus on the feeling that she normally gets when she's drawn something prophetic. And she draws... let me have a look.
The first one, I believe, was the island.
Yeah, so Maya draws an island, and it's 6 figures standing on a beach looking into a jungle-type scenery. There's a smoking mountain. And
it was not 6 figures, it was 4 figures. The 6 was something else.
Oh, yeah. In the sky, there's a long form with 6 lines. And there are 4 figures on the beach. So we're looking at a jungle island.
And you took that drawing to Rachel, and you had a long conversation about the importance of prophetic visions and how not all of them come to pass, but a fair amount do, and her experiences the year before with the Titan War and the visions she saw leading up to that. And you make copies for Chiron and Rachel to keep on hand. And you draw, I believe, 2 more things over the coming weeks.
She does! Second one, she draws a lake with rocky crags and stony beaches and a small hill. There are very distant grey shapes. There are intense ripples, 8 circular rippling patterns in the water.
And then one more.
And then the third one is a flat field with a muddy ring of about 80-foot diameter. I can't read my own handwriting. There seems to be like a stone vent in the middle. And it's shooting up a mix of water and fire. What you see is kind of the erased figures of like the faint figures that have seemed to be erased of people looking at it, but as they've been erased, there's new figures and harder lines of them running in fear away from it.
How many
And that's
figures?
it. About 20.
Oh.
And across this time, as you take these drawings to Rachel whenever they come up and you make copies, you also pick up a little bit of a job as well, something that Annie picked up, though you don't quite cross over as much as you'd like. But you decide to take some shifts at the temple as well.
Yep.
And you spend a long time staring at some scorch marks at the bottom of the temple.
Yep. And she just tries to stay as far away from it as possible while still trying to protect it.
And you see something one day, right?
I do. I see a figure in the entrance.
Entrance to where?
The underworld.
Mhm.
And so Maya goes to check it out.
Mhm.
And she sees remnants of people in the entrance as footprints, but she walks up and she finds a note.
She does find a note on the floor to the entrance to the underworld. And she opens it, and it says, Nico, if you're reading this, I'm assuming you know about Calliope and Cadmus. I don't know how much this will mean, but she died a hero. She saved all our lives. You two would have gotten along, or maybe you've seen her down there and you've already met. I'm not sure how all this underworld stuff works out, to be honest. Cadmus disappeared after our battle with Python. I'm worried about him. I know he's off doing what he needs to do, but his life has been knocked off balance, and you're the only other person that knows what he's going through right now. Please watch out for him. I hope you found your purpose out there in the world. Antigone Stewart. P.S. There's cobwebs all over your cabin, but we can't figure out if they're intentional or not. Should we clean them off, or are they there for aesthetic?
That's
And-
top tier.
Maya puts the note back down
Mhm.
and walks out.
And over that, I think there's only one more important thing that happens in Maya's time, right?
I think 2, because
Okay, what's the other thing?
on the last day she prays to her dad for the first
That's
time.
right. Yep. A proper prayer outside of just a daytime, mealtime sacrifice.
She goes and finds a sunny spot, and for the first time she talks about the battle with Python, and she just talks about everything that's happened, and she ends the prayer in, I don't want to go on another quest if it means losing another sister. And
And that night, Maya has one of the few dream premonitions she's ever had. And it's not of the future. Maya knows when she is standing in this dream, it is the present. The air is cold and still and unmoving, similar but oh so different to her time in the temple. And she stands there in darkness when she realizes that she's in a cavern, open space. She stands at the shore of a massive body of water, an underground lake. And she feels this familiar presence, this musk in the air. A presence she's felt 2-3 times in the past. This slithering, coiling, awful presence. Not back, not physical, but there in spirit. And she hears a voice.
My love, it is time.
And as she is standing at the shores of that lake, she sees the water begin to ripple and move as a massive boned rib dorsal fin pokes out of the water, and coils of muscle and scales begin to appear. But as they approach the shore, they diminish in size and disappear under the water. And then from the water crawls not a serpent, but a woman with glowing yellow eyes and green scales along the edges of her face, long bone sections sticking out from across her scalp and head, down her back and between her shoulders, a scaled, slithering green and blue tail following behind her. Her hands ending in the same colored scales with clawed tips. As she walks out of the water and smiles, that is where Maya's dream ends.
She does say she does.
Does
Yeah,
say something.
she does say something back. She does say it is time back.
It is time. And that's Maya's dream the night before summer begins. And that is everyone.
No.
Downtime as we leave Quest 1 of Percy Jackson. Thank you for joining us. Wonderful campaign.
Holy heck.
Oh, I had such a good time. That was good.
When did we start?
Don't ask me that. We took a few weeks off. We took more than a few weeks. We took a couple months off in the meantime.
Damn.
But we are going to go through just to clear the palate of that awful, terrible moment that we've all just had. We're going to go through and we're going to quickly run through a quick introduction of the characters that will be played for the next campaign.
Yay!
Because something that I don't think we've discussed publicly, Hannah. I don't think we've talked about. So we've decided we love our family here on Schooner Later. We love the Dungeons Demigods cast, but I am one person, and it is very hard to keep up with a 7-person game. And I figured it would be better if we had enough time to give everyone some time to get in the limelight and really get to experience what each of these players are. So we're announcing now that Dungeons and Demigods is now becoming 2 different campaigns that are running simultaneously. One of which will be...
Aaron hates himself.
I hate myself so much.
Yeah, apparently so.
But I will hopefully be able to get more into the characters, get to really feel those emotions more with smaller parts.
But he loves
So-
all of us.
We're splitting into 2 different groups. About 45 minutes to an hour later, we haven't settled on an exact time yet, but I think we're going to be starting at 4:30?
4:30.
4:30 PST, 7:30 EST on our normal Wednesday slot. We will be playing Dungeons and Demigods campaign with a campaign made of cast members from here. We'll be playing with Hannah, obviously, because it will be. Oh, we've just lost one of our members. This is so sad.
Oh, beans.
No.
Beans. But
She's like,
We'll
oh,
be
you're gonna talk about me now?
yeah, so the cast for the Wednesday campaign will be Hannah playing Addie, continuing on with the same character because we love Addie so much. We have
Yes.
Ben playing Luke, same character because we love Luke. Here, and then our two remaining cast members will be Abby playing V, I believe. Are you playing V? We discussed this. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Playing V.
Friends
So it'll be-
can't be separated.
However, Kate will be the 4th member of that campaign, and Kate will be bringing in a new PC to give Annie a bit of a break after a couple months in captivity and then a really long quest
Couple
line.
months stuck in a cage, couple months seeing a lot of people die. She needs a break. She wants to go to prom.
Yeah. So, if you want to introduce the character that you will be playing next quest.
Okay, I am playing Nerida Moore, the 14-year-old daughter of Poseidon.
Correct.
Another big
So we
three
will be having
kids.
another child of the big 3 joining us. Yeah, and that will be the people for the Wednesday campaign.
Percy who?
And then, and then, one of the really nice
Another
things.
big
What's up?
3 duo.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have 2 big 3 kids again.
Yeah, that's gonna be a
awesome.
Stay out of the underworld. You're not welcome here.
Considering we're gonna have
Yeah, oh my God,
none
imagine they
in the
just
second
walk up to
campaign.
talk and like they get shot back. Like whoa.
The second campaign will be on Fridays at 12 p.m. PST, 3 p.m. EST, 8 p.m. GMT. And that is going to be hosted over on Birdie and I's channel, twitch.tv/The Show's Mimic. We are still same canon, same universe. Yeah, but Ben, I was not bringing attention to you because you're staying on the schooner later campaign. That's why I was. You're on the schooner. We'll talk about it later. Anyway, we're Team Jacob right now. You're Team Edwin or Edward, whatever his name was.
Edwin, yeah.
Edward's correct. Jacob is a toxic.
Right from
God.
Twilight, right? Edwin colored.
Edwin
I
colored.
hate it. I hate that you're
Edwin
making that
Custard.
comparison as well. Of all the comparisons you could make.
Oh yeah.
Also,
And that
why are we
campaign-
Jacob?
'cause
I don't wanna
Jacob's
be
hotter.
Jacob.
The correct team.
Taylor
to
Lautner is
convert,
way
first of
hotter.
all.
Oh, this is not a
my
conversation.
God, I
Jacob
don't
falls in
think
love
so.
with an unborn baby.
That
Anyway,
was
campaign
Exactly.
2.
Jacob is toxic.
Anyway.
Anyway.
He's a nice
Yeah.
guy, and he
Anyway.
expects Bella to love him just because.
So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and the second campaign is going to be 3 of our lovely cast members: Birdie the Bard, the Nerdy Niffler Val, and Chaotic Bonnie over here. The 3 of them will be joining me on Fridays, along with our new cast member, our good friend V. The Adventures of Mr. V will be joining us as the 4th cast member over on the Friday campaign, and that will be
V, a different V.
a different V, not this
Mr.
V.
V.
Yeah.
So many
Mr. V.
V's.
Not they V.
Yeah. And in that campaign, V will be playing, this is canon, so and already been mentioned to all of the parties, he will be playing a child of the god Thanatos, and we're excited to see where he takes that.
Yes.
And then if the 3 of you would like to introduce your new characters, because I think that one is entirely new characters.
Yeah, I like how
for this Friday.
they like have 3 out of 4 of remaining cast members, and we have an entirely new lineup. I'm
Yeah.
playing
Yeah.
Max Armstrong, Maximus Armstrong, the child of Heracles,
Yo!
himbo
Fine.
extraordinaire, absolute
Oh,
powerhouse,
Nereda's best friend.
stacks on
And
stacks on stacks of hit points.
That is a point. Nerida's best
Didn't
friend
have enough.
canonically. You guys have matching headbands.
Matching headbands.
They have matching
We've been-
sweatbands. One of them got it.
Max has been waiting his entire life to finally go on a quest, and the day it finally comes, he can't bring his best friend. It's tragic.
Which is very disappointing. And
Oh.
Val, you will be playing. You're still muted.
You're muted.
Oh, you're
You're
muted.
muted.
Oh, just gotta. There it goes. There it goes. There we go. It's there.
Nope.
Twilight is.
Oh my god.
I hate it. Stop.
I love you.
I love you so much. Please continue.
Okay, well, Edwin and Jacob are both toxic, Aaron. I think the
So
whole.
Bonnie,
That's
you'll
true.
be playing.
No, I want to hear what Vala's
We should,
playing.
I think the thing we learned is we should all be Team Jasper, the canon Confederate soldier.
What?
Ah, why?
Okay.
Yay!
I'm
Anyway,
Team Dumbledore.
I'm Team Dumbledore. No, it's even worse. I'm Team.
I'm Team
Stop
Val's
bringing
new
Emma.
character.
Emma did nothing wrong.
Oh, that. Listen. I'm Val, and I will be playing. I just completely forgot everything. I'll be playing Morgan, who is a child of Hecate. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I enjoyed
Why
playing
would
her
no
so
one
much,
tell
and
me
she
that?
legitimately terrified
Wait,
me.
I thought you were playing. I thought you
No,
were
we
playing the other thing.
No, we
No,
decided
I
to go
was-
with Morgan.
It was gonna
I-
be a thing.
I love Morgan.
Because of the character choice in this group, I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna bring back Morgan for this one. The
Yeah.
himbo really
Amazing.
balances it out.
Yeah.
Also, it means we have a group of minor
Gods. Yeah.
We have a
Although,
minor party.
to be fair, that's not technically confirmed because we will also be playing. Bonnie will be yet again playing an unclaimed child. Bonnie, who are you playing?
Because I hate myself. I will be playing Zinnia Nye. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you get to know about Zinnia.
Child of ...
Of
I do want to describe her character though because I'm really in love with how they
Okay.
look.
You have
Um,
30 seconds. Go.
They have vitiligo. They have one blue eye, one brown eye, and then they have different streaks of colored hair. So it's just like reds, browns, blondes, black streaks of hair, and it's just wild.
And why did you do that?
Because I wanted to.
I thought it was because you
it's-
thought it would be impossible for me to make an hero forge. And how long did it
Yeah.
take me?
Yeah.
How long
5
did
minutes.
it take me? Precisely.
5 minutes.
Don't challenge me.
I made the character first, and then I was like, "This is gonna be impossible to make in Hero Forge." And Betty said,
I
"Bet."
need to see all of this. I need to see this after the game.
So those are going to be our casts. There will be an announcement on Hannah's Discord. So if you are not subscribed, can somebody drop the Discord in the chat?
I
If you're
don't
not-
think I'm in Hannah's Discord.
If you are not in Hannah's Discord,
Oh
I believe I'm in there.
please go, because we will be making an announcement on Monday as to whether or not we will be starting the new campaign next week or the week after. It very heavily relies on how much I can get done, because I've been working for a while, but I'm also a really bad procrastinator, and it's been the beginning of the semester, so obviously I've been very busy. However, those will be starting within the next 2 weeks guaranteed, and we will
Bless
be
you.
having a little bit of a time as we get to have smaller groups, but there will be crossovers. These are not the permanent groups, however, because eventually we're planning on changing some of this up just for fun, for funsies. Yeah, I think I have one more thing I need to plug. Hey, Hannah, can I plug a Patreon thing? Okay,
Yes.
okay, cool. So,
Yeah.
speaking of me building everything for this campaign, for the past couple months, I've been working on, Birdie, you are the best assistant I could ever ask for. Birdie, we're gonna debate this here.
I'm not debating anything. I just take issue with the description of assistant.
Yeah,
Can I be,
the
like,
best
unpaid
right-hand
intern?
man I have ever had. Thank you. Anyway, you
And
don't
I'm
want to
gonna
be my
an
Hamilton?
intern.
Oh yeah, and then Kate is like, Burr over there, Anyway,
How
Uh,
dare you?
I am putting up a Patreon, patreon.com/obsidianolive. And essentially, on that, you will be able to get some of the resources that we use here in this campaign. I'm publishing the ones that I've made. If there are months where we publish things that Birdie has made, he will be getting all proceeds for those months. Because, we love Birdie and we don't ever want him to feel unloved.
I
But
didn't ask
essentially,
that, but thank you.
no, it's just, it is what it is. But essentially, every month I will be putting out one of the classes available to play on these campaigns. I'll be putting out one magic item that is of rarity or higher, and one monster stat block that might have already shown up in campaign. It might not have. So if you want access to stat blocks that might show up later on, you might want to go there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I have currently this month we will be releasing the rewards for this month anywhere between tomorrow and Valentine's Day. I am just finishing up the class for this month, which is the Aphrodite class, which luckily we're going to get to see that completely revamped for next campaign. But if you go there currently,
That's my best friend.
it is your best friend. If you go there right now, and it will be up for a while, so don't feel pressured to go at this exact moment. But I have a free post on the Patreon for anybody to see, even if you don't pay me any money, because I don't need you to do that.
Free?
Where you for free, you can
That's
get
insane.
total access to the
Free
children.
Costco sample.
Hell yeah, to the Children of Hades class that was played in part by our twins of Hades, Cadmus and Calliope Mortimer, though they didn't get to play the fully updated version, which is now available on there, as well as the stat block for, I believe I put up the Nemean Lion and the magic item stat block for the Bow of Odysseus, all of which are available just entirely for free on the Patreon if you want to go.
That
and pick
bow
those
that
up.
could have been mine if only Maya had died instead of Callie.
Wow.
Valid and true.
You ass.
So yeah, all three of those are up for entirely free. Essentially what that is an entire month's worth of free benefits just for anybody who wants to grab them, just because I want to share the stuff that I've made. There's also a starting out document with things that all of my players have used, including the updated race statistics for the Demigods, for stats for Nectar and Ambrosia, and everything that we use there. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll drop a link in a second. I
Abby's
just
done it.
wanted to share that.
Abby's got
Abby's
you.
done- I love you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say was, feel free to just go, and this is what I do for fun, but it's really a really good motivation when people are out there supporting me. My first ever patron was in fact Abby, because she's a little bitch boy and I love her very much. Yeah. But yeah, so if y'all want to go throw something there, it's great. If not, I'm still going to be here making content because I enjoy my friends when they get to have fun. Is there anything else anybody else wanted to talk about or plug before we ended for the night? Is everybody good?
I think
Is everybody good?
That's it.
Okay, so join us either next week or the week after for campaign 2 of Dungeons and Demigods.
Wait,
Dungeons and Demigods.
Do we wanna have a raid in store? Face Fiends and Friends is currently.
That's what I was actually about to ask
Heck yeah.
Birdie if he could go raid Face Fiends and Friends. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
ten.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
go ahead and take us to that raid screen, Birdie.
Raid.
Raid.